If you've ever started your weekend early, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. It is Friday. We made it all the way to the end of the week. It is almost mice down, drinks up time, but we've got one more day to get through. We've got core PCE today. We've got the Michigan consumer sentiment print today. Lululemon is getting destroyed after some poor earnings and a slew of downgrades here this morning. We're going to go ahead and break everything down. Mark Petrino coming today. Got 13 on. Got Anne Marie after the show. We got a loaded day. We're going to go ahead, start it up right now. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for March 28th, Friday, March 28th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today, and happy Friday. Hope you all had a wonderful Thursday night. Let me tell you, some of those basketball games, that was good. It was a good sports night last night. We got another one coming here tonight. But great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Hope that your Friday morning is treating you well. Woke up to some storms here in Chicago that are already clearing. So I'll take that. Saban, good morning, Benzies. Good morning to you. Great to have you back here. Pete, good morning. Great to see you again as well. Paul, good morning. Welcome back. Lion, good morning. Prudnika, good morning. Jonathan Cooper, locked in early. Crystal's back. Let's go. Sun-kissed Yogi, checking in again. Welcome back. Producer, Bernhard, Day Trader is locked in. Day Trader, we got an upcoming death cross here in Bitcoin. Wonder if you think we're going lower in any of those. XIII Media, good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you. JJ, great to see you. Hellcat, good morning, man. It's great to see all of you folks. Let's go ahead and start here with the morning update. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right. So PCE, Michigan consumer sentiment, that's what's coming up here. Futures ahead of this, a little bit in the red, but for the most part, flat. IWM holding on to some green. Gold is up a little bit. Oil's up a little bit. Bitcoin is down, and Ethereum's really getting pounded. Good morning here. Peter, good morning. Dermog, good morning. Gil, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. Turbine, good morning. Harley, it's great to see you again. Good morning. All right, no company events today. Good. And companies that are scheduling important events on Friday, what are you doing? What are you even doing? Just roll that shit to Monday. Come on now. Come on now. All right. Next here, we also have upcoming IPOs today. Now, we do have a number of small ones here today, but the big one here is going to be CoreWeave. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. CoreWeave did they actually reduced the size of their IPO. I talked to a couple of buddies that were connected to this. They're not as excited as they initially once were. So we'll see how CoreWeave actually performs here today. That's going to be the big one. Ticker CRWV on CoreWeave. We also have some earnings reports here, but none of these are really big. Just a couple more here. LVTX, we'll see on that therapeutic stock how that's going. But yeah, some earnings here today. None that I don't think anyone here in this group cares about that. But nonetheless, some analyst initiations here today. Beam Therapeutics. This is one that we've actually traded here before. Got a buy rating here from Bank of America and a $42 price target. Couple of other upgrades here today. That was probably the biggest. Hood, also one of the biggest. Lion, looking at you here. Hood is down just about 1% here. $62 price target on an initiation from Needham. So not bad. For those of you that were buying the dip in Hood, this actually should help. Now, we'll see what the market does here today. We'll see what tech does here today. But Hood getting a initiation there should be pretty good. Some upgrades. Again, we talked about Beam. Ferrari, we talked a little bit about that yesterday. Whoever was making a joke about me owning a Ferrari, keep doing that. That was a fun 15 seconds. Anyway, Race getting a ticker Race, RACE, getting a upgrade here from Barclays, moving to overweight. That's actually a pretty illiquid stock, but does make some pretty good moves. That might be one to take a look at here today. And then in the downgrades, the big news here is going to be Lululemon. They got a whole bunch. Looks like Bausch and Lomb also got a downgrade. Schneider, Equilium. I always mix that up. Voya Financial caught a downgrade here today. So not a whole lot here on Friday, but we do have some stuff going on. So we're really going to pay attention to that PCE data at 8:30. I know we have Mark on at the same time, but I'll make sure I get that data out for you folks as well. Now, let's go to the SPY. Let me share my chart here for the SPY. We'll talk about some of those levels here. There we go. Share this tab. Let me actually put the watermark on here so you folks can see it. And I want to get my time frames shortcutted, if that's the right word. Okay, here's your SPY. Now, we did continue to roll. Oh, shoot. God, I hate doing that. Undo. Okay. I'm sorry. I keep grabbing those price levels. It's really annoying. Anyway, SPY here continuing to move beneath the 9-day moving, or excuse me, the 20-day moving average. Looks like we're riding that down. Honestly, we're also, we did fill this gap technically, but I would not be surprised if we kind of retested that, rolled over. Honestly, my target here, and this is still wrong, I happen to know this is 551.91 is that 10% pullback level. This is what I think we retest here in short order. Don't think we're going to get that here today unless something really terrible happens. Don't think we're going to get that here today, but that might be something to look into next week if we continue to roll down to that 552-ish number down there on the SPY. Okay, let's see. Let's go take a look through here. Good morning. Oh, I love the energy here today. Good morning. Artisan Custom Homes, Sean, Terlingua, Creation, Rafat, Shrikar, Asar, Tom, Cam, Tanya, Blazed, Ed. Sorry, I missed all you guys earlier. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the news stories here today. The first one, I'm not really sure if there's a trading angle here yet. We'll see if one comes up in the future, but this first story here, definitely kind of an eyebrow raiser, I would call it. What's going on? Trump pardons Nikola founder Trevor Milton. Short seller Jim Chanos reacts, quote, "Please tell me this is a hoax," end quote. Short seller Jim Chanos expressed disbelief on Thursday following news that former Nikola founder Trevor Milton had received a full unconditional pardon from President Trump. "Please tell me this is a hoax." Milton, once a prominent figure in the electric vehicle industry, was convicted of fraud in 2022 for misleading investors. Federal prosecutors determined that he knowingly misrepresented the company's production capabilities, including falsely claiming that Nikola's semi-truck was fully operational when in reality promotional videos had staged the vehicle rolling downhill. How many times have we joked about this here on the show? In 2023, Milton was sentenced to 4 years in prison by a U.S. district judge. So, why it matters. Trump's pardon comes amid the broader pledge to address the calls for political weaponization of the justice system. Milton is saying that he was railroaded. The one thing I was discussing with my producer this morning, I haven't seen anything official on this. I'm kind of going to hold off. I don't know what any of the behind the scenes stuff is. I heard a rumor that Milton's lawyer is the brother of Pam Bondi. I don't know how much of this stuff is true. Haven't seen anything official, but man, oh man, this one definitely an eyebrow raiser. Definitely an eyebrow raiser here. Don't understand what type of value Trevor Milton would provide, but then again, we'll see. We're not surprised Trump pardoned a fraudster, are we? Well, we're not surprised that political people did that because the entire Biden crime family pardoned each other as well. So no, I'm not surprised that any of the political nonsense continues to produce nonsense. I guess I'm still holding out hope that this is baloney because I wasn't one of the investors for Nikola. I ended up not getting hurt by that, thankfully, but thousands and thousands of people did. And frankly, if you are hurt by someone lying for investments, I think someone should pay the price. Now, apparently there's going to be a documentary here. With the pardon restoring his rights, Milton announced plans to release a documentary addressing the legal battle. Who's going to line up for that one? Seems silly. Don't really know what to make of this. We'll see what happens when we get some more official things here, but we're going to start today with an eyebrow raiser. That is for sure. All right. Now, on to something else. Let me know if this causes you to trade anything. Really curious. I certainly am not going to, but if there's a trade out there willing to listen to that, either long or short, seems really silly. On to something that's a little bit more concrete here. Let's actually talk about Lululemon. We'll start here with the chart on Lululemon, and then we'll roll through some of the numbers that they had here. So first of all, if we start with the chart with Lululemon, you can see that stock has made a great move off the 200-day. Things are feeling good here. We also know that Lululemon, their customer predominantly is more of the wealthy customer. We've had signs that although the consumer does seem to be slowing, it continues to be resilient. We've heard that from a number of different analysts as well. And so this report actually set up to be pretty important because if the more wealthy consumer also starts to tighten their belt, well, we could make some assumptions then where the economy is going. And I think that's what we got here in Lululemon. Lululemon down 11.2% here this morning. Lululemon shares are trading lower after the company issued weak guidance. Some analysts lowered their price targets on the stock following the report. So we're going to start here with the newsfeed in Pro. We're going to take a look at the number as well as the chart. Here you go. We'll get to the upgrades there, or the downgrades there in a sec. GAAP EPS 614 beats the 585 estimate. That's a nice healthy beat. Sales 3.611 billion beat the estimate of 3.57 billion. That's a nice beat. But the guide, really poor. Full year 25 EPS 14.95 to 15.15. The estimate was for 15.30. So the high end of the range is actually under the estimate. That's no bueno. We've seen that on a bunch of other stocks. That really sinks them. And the same is true here for the revenue. 11.15 billion versus the 11.15 to 11.3 billion versus the 11.301 billion. So I know this one's a little bit smaller, but the reality here is that this is not good. And frankly, we needed to see that Lululemon was going to say, yeah, things are going to be okay. We did not need to see the guidance, especially the full year guidance, lowered beyond the estimates. So I think that's definitely why the stock is down here today. And then on top of that, you did have a number of analysts here today kind of piling on with the price target adjustments. Price target lowered here. Morgan Stanley, 411 to 373. Wells Fargo went from 375 to 315. UBS went from 376 to 335. Bank of America went from 480 to 400. JP Morgan 437 to 391. Bernstein, Stifel, and then Bank of America. So there are a lot of downgrades here today. Lululemon obviously under pressure here today. The options did price in a 7% move. So anyone that played options to the downside or played puts here on Lululemon, you're getting paid on that earnings binary event, which has kind of been in the rarity, frankly. I feel like option sellers have really been winning earnings prints. This one, though, sinking it. Now, when we come back to the chart, we're going to really be able to understand what the damage is. So again, we talked a little bit about the stock moving up off the 200-day. This is going to completely delete all of the positivity or all of the positive movement that the stock has put in recently, takes us below the 200-day, which is absolutely a key level. And if you take a look where the price is, we got another possible support level right in here, 297. Stock is currently trying to hold on to 300. It was actually lower than that here in the pre-market. This is up off the lows. Trying to regain 300. You can see there's actually another support level right in here, just shy of 300. If we zoom out a little bit more, pretty much encompassing all of 2024. Let me see if I can get it right. All of 24, look where we are. Volume point of control, 304.65. And we are right here at 303. So bad report, bad guidance. Stocks getting pounded here today. We've got a bunch of price targets, adjustments that are being lowered here, but we're at a support. So for trade purposes here today, we'll see if this can actually catch a bounce. This is one of those that you definitely want to wait until it shows you some strength instead of kind of front running it. If you do, you really want to have a downside plan on there just to make sure that you don't get terribly hurt on something like this. We'll see if Lululemon has any type of strength here today. We'll see if these support levels mean anything or if we're going to go ahead and hunt for lower. A quick look here, if we do break down and we actually lose that 297 one, I'm kind of thinking that right in here, 281, maybe even up to like 284. This is going to be a prior support and resistance where Lululemon might stop this downside slide. We talked about this a little bit in happy hour yesterday. The overall consensus is, well, yeah, if the consumer is tightening, how many pairs of $100 yoga pants does one need? No matter where you are on the customer spectrum. So again, we'll see if there's any more knock-on effects from this. We'll see if this actually is the bottom. Lululemon is actually really a great stock to trade. It moves around a lot. The options are pretty good if you can catch it, but I don't know. We'll see. I still am of the belief that we've got a weakening consumer. I still think the market is going to roll over. I don't think Lululemon would be a place to hide if the market does sell off. So for me, kind of wait this one out and see what happens if it finds any type of support level. Russ, good morning. Good to see you. Checking on in. Happy Friday, my man. Okay. That's Lululemon. Let me know if any of you have trade plans on Lululemon today. I would love to hear that. Next story that we want to go over here today, CoreWeave. Right? CoreWeave. Let's do it. You know what? I didn't actually go over the Lululemon story. Let me just make sure there were no other quotes in here that we wanted to do or that I wanted to go over. Total revenue was up 13% year over year, a basis as American net revenue increased 7% and international revenue climbed 38%. These are going to be numbers that we want to watch in forward earnings reports. If these drop, you actually might see further downside here on Lululemon. Excuse me. CEO Calvin McDonald says, quote, our fourth quarter results exceeded our expectations as we continue to introduce more newness and innovation into our product assortment. I actually haven't got anything new from Lululemon in, I think, over a calendar year at this point. So I'm not even sure what their new offerings are. You folks will have to let me know if any of that's any good. Goes on to say, as we begin 2025, we remain focused on executing our Power of 3x2 growth plan and delivering an exciting pipeline of innovation and brand activations for our guests and communities. So he's still out here talking about growth. We've talked a lot about going through a growth scare here. If the consumer is going to tell us whether or not we can actually go or have growth or any of that. So we'll see. I give him credit for this, but again, we'll see here. I do think there's kind of a rocky road ahead for Lululemon. No position for me yet, though. I'll let you know if that changes here. Lululemon shares down 10.5% year to date heading into the report. Stock was down 6.07% in after hours trading. What it was doing initially, when the report first came out, this thing immediately went to the 200-day. And in the after hours, it did look like it was going to try and hold that, but inevitably it took another leg down here. That's where we find ourselves this morning. It's trying to recapture 300. It'll be interesting to see if it can even do that. I wouldn't be shocked to see another pull right out of the open here on Lululemon. That might set up for a bounce, but given some of the numbers that we have here, definitely not guaranteed. So be careful on that one. Now, the next story here revolves around, I guess you could say, the big IPO that we are expecting today. And this one, I think more than anything else, this is the one I want your folks' opinion on. Are you going to trade this? What do you think about the CoreWeave IPO here? Is this something that's getting you excited at all? Frankly, NVIDIA-backed CoreWeave IPO comes in below expectations at $40 per share. It priced its initial public offering at $40 per share, below the range of $47 to $55, signaling investor caution despite demand for artificial intelligence-driven cloud computing devices. The offering consists of 37.5 million shares, with CoreWeave selling 36.59 million and existing stockholders offloading just under a million at 910,000. The company granted underwriters a 30-day option to purchase up to an additional 5.63 million shares to cover over allotments. CoreWeave will trade under the ticker CRVW. I'm sure I'm going to butcher that. I'm sure I'm going to say CRWV. Slap me if I do that, frankly. Full permission. I hate mixing up tickers. On the NASDAQ Global Select Market, the IPO is being led by Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, and JP Morgan. So we've got three of the biggest houses here back in this one. Primary book running managers, as it's called here in the story. CoreWeave, an AI-focused cloud computing company, has seen exponential revenue growth, reaching $1.9 billion in 2024, a 737% increase from the prior year. However, the company remains unprofitable. Not the greatest environment for a company to be unprofitable. Just going to throw that out there. We'll see how this ends up doing. A key driver of CoreWeave's success is its strategic partnerships and customer base, which include OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. And I think that is probably really going to help it maybe even stay up here. Microsoft accounted for 62% of CoreWeave's revenue in 2024, raising concerns about revenue concentration. However, CoreWeave anticipates that Microsoft's share of future committed contract revenue will decline to below 50%. 50% is still quite a bit. So this basically, it looks like this company really relies on Microsoft very heavily, as well as NVIDIA, as we'll see here. NVIDIA, a major supplier of GPUs for CoreWeave's, I knew I was going to screw it up, didn't take long. CoreWeave's AI cloud infrastructure holds a 5.96% stake in the company's pre-IPO, with expectations of a slight reduction post-offering. The semiconductor giant has committed a $250 million anchor investment at the IPO, while OpenAI plans to invest $350 million through private placement. CoreWeave operates 32 data centers with over 250,000 GPUs dedicated to AI workloads. The company aims to expand its infrastructure, extend its enterprise reach, and pursue international growth, positioning itself as a leading AI hyperscaler amid soaring demand for compute power. So given all of that, who's trading this here today? Does anyone like this? Do you like this long term? Do you like this short term? Do you think this is going to be a hot trade or a hot ticker here today? Let me know. Would love to hear. Lion here, the first opinion, and I'm with you on this one, Lion. On this one, I'm with you on. CRWV, no profit, not touching it. Completely understand that. Again, I will watch it. I do want to see how this shakes out. I do want to see how this trades. I wonder if it'll open kind of later in the morning, maybe even breaching on the afternoon. We'll see. But this is probably the big event, aside from the PCE print, that we're expecting here in 9 minutes. Also expecting Mark Petrino in 9 minutes. And I've got some stuff to ask him about, that is for certain. Okay. I lost my note sheet here. Okay. Next story here revolves around Tesla. Elon Musk says Tesla doesn't need LiDAR because, quote, people don't shoot lasers out of their eyes, end quote. Okay. After a YouTuber puts his cars through a Wile E. Coyote test. Well, that YouTuber must make a lot of money. I wouldn't put any of my cars through a Wile E. Coyote test, but nonetheless, CEO Elon Musk doubled down on his longtime skepticism of LiDAR technology on Thursday, following videos of YouTubers testing his EV vehicles against a Wile E. Coyote fake wall challenge. This is basically the one that looks like it's the environment, but it's actually a wall. Go watch Looney Tunes if you don't know what I'm talking about. Musk took to X, formerly Twitter, to repeat a key pillar of Tesla's self-driving vision. Quote, people don't shoot lasers out of their eyes, or people don't shoot lasers out of their eyes to drive. That'd be pretty sweet, though. I'd have a lot less problem with traffic if I could do that. I'm just saying. Sharing an old clip from Tesla's 2019 Autonomy Day. Just try Tesla self-driving today, which uses cameras and AI, and you will understand. In the video, Musk called LiDAR a, quote, fool's errand, end quote, saying anyone relying on LiDAR is doomed. Doomed, with an exclamation point. Expensive sensors that are unnecessary, like having a whole bunch of expensive appendices. So he linked one of the videos back from 2019. Unlike Alphabet, Waymo, General Motors cruise system, Tesla has avoided using LiDAR, opting to go with a vision-based system. However, in a twist, a 2024 earnings report from LiDAR manufacturer Luminar revealed that Tesla had quietly become its biggest customer. You love to see it. The EV giant accounted for over 10% of Luminar's first quarter revenue, totaling more than $2 million. Musk's latest statement on LiDAR came just weeks after YouTube video Mark Robber, known for his science and engineering experiments, surfaced. The video tested Tesla's camera-only autopilot full self-driving system against a LiDAR-based setup powered by Luminar's technology. The results indicated the LiDAR system outperformed the camera-based approach, mainly due to the superior performance in fog and rain, where visibility is reduced. Now, that seems fairly obvious. That sounds a lot like a human, does it not? In response to Robber's Tesla fake wall test, creator Kyle Paul shared his video aiming to explore whether the company's full self-driving system can detect a Wile E. Coyote-style road obstruction in real-world condition. In Paul's experiment, the Model Y, running the full self-driving version 12.5.4.2, performed no better than Robber's test, requiring manual intervention to avoid crashing into the fake wall, which appeared less convincing to the human eye. However, Tesla saw a glimmer of success with the Cybertruck running full self-driving version 13.2.8, which successfully detected the obstruction and slowed down, ultimately coming to a complete stop. So this is not going to be the last that you hear about this. I think the last time that our group kind of talked about this together, I believe the consensus in here, we also talked about this on the happy hour, so forgive me if I'm mixing this up. but our consensus here was that you're probably better off with a combination of both. Doesn't that make sense? Sure makes sense to me. I see positives and benefits to both. And frankly, if I'm trusting my life and the life of my loved ones with an automated driving car, I would want more. So I understand, Elon's running a business here where he has to sell cars and he has to think about margins and costs and all of that. And when he says that it's like having a bunch of expensive appendices, the way I think about this, like practically in real world, again, if I'm turning over the safety of myself and my family to a machine, I would be okay spending a little bit more on those systems. That's just me. Maybe I'm in the minority there. I know I'm in the minority with full self-driving because I don't want it at all. I want to be able to drive my own car. But it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out here. Blaze says, my cat uses LiDAR. Yeah, mine too. He shoots lasers out of his eyes. Oh, that's funny. Who says what Tesla are using LiDAR systems for? It's not just cars. That's actually a good point. Humans use vision and intelligence, nothing more, and they do a pretty good job. See, Jonathan, that's kind of where I'm at here. Again, though, I can't get over the fact that if you're going to turn basically, if the car is going to have your life in its hands, why would you not want every possible thing to help you? I can't get off that. I can't get off that. Okay. So STFU, sorry I missed this earlier when we were talking about Lulu. Lulu is selling fair trade, organic, locally sourced, hypoallergenic, artisan Molotov cocktail rags. I see. You were just trolling. For anyone who wants to be a part of the solution while being the entire problem, allegedly. That was a well-crafted post. STFU. Cheers for getting the laugh out there. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to talk about before we turn this over to Mark Petrino. I've got a couple of things that I want to ask him as well. I did want to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Dogecoin trade sideways as a trader warns of potential BTC death cross. Day trader, this is what I was looking for here. First of all, when you look at crypto charts, do you apply some of the same types of patterns and things that we see with stocks? So that what I'm asking you here, I guess, is we see death crosses in stocks. We see how the stocks react a lot of the time. Do you look for those same things when you're looking at coins? Just let me know. Cryptocurrencies traded in a tight sideways range on Thursday, awaiting the release of inflation data on Friday. We are 3 minutes away from that data. Into the block data shows large transaction volume decreasing by 4.2% and daily active addresses growing by 5.2%. Transactions greater than $100,000 are up from 9,714 to 9,796 in a single day. Exchange net flows are down by 90.5%. CoinGlass data reports 95,153 traders were liquidated in the past 24 hours for a total of 213 million. Benjamin Cohen is the trader in question here. Bitcoin has a death cross upcoming soon. I'm going to go to my chart here in a sec. You may notice local lows tend to occur around that time. Bitcoin's and then the crypto mist. Bitcoin bulls holding the support. Strong reaction to this test. Vital. It holds to prevent a bearish retest. Bulls need to break 87.7 thousand for 90K. Quick look in here at the Bitcoin futures. We're looking at 85.5 on the CBOE futures ticker here. So let me go back to the chart here real quick, and I'll bring up that Bitcoin chart. Here we go. Here is your Bitcoin chart. So we talked about this. We talked about the support area in the purple shaded region. We talked about what is almost a parallel channel on the way down, really from I guess this is where we really turned around, January, really from the beginning of this year. We're pretty much riding the trend line down. We're really not able to break that. We've got the 50-day that's pretty much mirroring it, and we're coming to this 200-day. So when this yellow line crosses this blue line, that is going to be our death cross. I'm hoping, at least for my own order and for my own strategy here. I'm hoping that this does send Bitcoin lower. Would love for it to print 70K. We'll actually convert more USD to fiat at that time, and we'll go from there. But this is kind of what we're looking at here on Bitcoin. Day trader, yes, I apply TA on crypto, but I'm not concerned about BTC at all. I'll only buy. Love that. I'm kind of the same way. I understand that the price is going to move. I'm going to try and add it on lows based on the TA that I see on the charts. Sometimes I'm going to get filled. Sometimes I might not get filled, but I'm going to try and be as patient as possible. And I'm with you there. On the second half of what you said with Bitcoin, I only buy. I actually have made my first sale here because I wanted to make a life upgrade, but with you on that, to me, this is the best crypto. This is the gold standard of crypto. Okay, let's see if we got those data prints out. Then we're going to bring Mark Petrino on. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of other stocks and setups in the whole 9 yards. Let's see what we got here. Core PCE price index year over year for February plus 2.8 versus the plus 2.7 estimate. The prior read was 2.7. S&P futures here ticking down on this print now. We were down just about 0.2, down 0.3 now. But that looked like just kind of an initial reaction here. We'll see what else happens from this. PCE price index year over year for February 2.5 versus 2.5. The prior read was 2.5. That's right in line. Okay. Let me go back to the chart. There we go. And let's bring on the one and only Mark Petrino. What do you say? Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. How are you doing? And
hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good, man. It is going to be 72 degrees here in Chicago. I got a tea time today. Oh, man.
Oh, sweet. Where are you playing?
I'm sitting pretty. A place called Sunset Valley. Really pretty name. Actually, a really great course not far from here. Playing with a couple of my buddies, one of which I haven't seen in a little bit. So it'd be really good. How did the wedge work go?
Still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
There's like two schools of thought, right? It's like, do you have, say, typically 3 wedges so you can, mark off your distance or whatever, or do you just have one and get like really good at that one and just learn how to master that one club? So I don't know. I've been playing golf for 10 years and I still can't figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah, I use 4, right? I use 4. I use a 60, I use a 56, I use a pitching wedge and a gap wedge. And I just practice all 4 of them because I seem to use those clubs more than anything else. Okay. I do want to get to the stock of the day. I do want to get to some things that you're looking at. If you want to share your charts, go ahead and bring them up here. But I did have a couple of questions, if that's all right, if we could start with here today.
Yeah, sure.
There's 2 stocks in particular that I want to take a look at here. So let me go ahead and share your chart instead of mine. First one here is actually going to be Dollar Tree, ticker DLTR. And what I want to ask you about is, you'll notice, I don't know if you're going to have the 50-day moving average on there, but you're going to notice if you back out here, first of all, we've got that level that you've obviously charted here, but this was really consolidating above the 50-day moving average. Let me go back to my chart here since you don't have it on that one.
Well, I can put it in. Let's see.
I would just do moving, just type in the word moving and then select moving average. And we'll have to change it. It's about midway down that list. And we're going to have to hit the gear cog in the upper left where that study is. Yep. And we're going to change the length from 9 to 50. So on inputs, change that from 9 to 50 and then okay. And then we're all set. And the thing that I wanted to ask here, I know it might be difficult to see because that's such a light blue line, but basically that price consolidation in the top of that channel there, trading sideways above the 50-day and then breaking out of it. What do you make of this entire setup here? I love that you already have the range on here, the parallel channel, because that's what we've been watching. But how do you then kind of assess the consolidation above the 50 and then the loss of the 50?
Well, I think it's probably more important to just focus on this resistance, because you can see, obviously, it's very well-defined resistance, and that's where we're trading this morning. So if a market's going higher, right, but people seem to forget that the basic thing that moves markets is supply and demand. Now, if there's not enough supply, if there's more demand, in other words, if there's more shares to be bought than there are to be sold, the people that want to buy are forced to try to start outbidding each other. They have to raise their prices. And you get a bidding war, which makes the price go up. When you get to a resistance level, the dynamic changes. There's enough or more than enough sell orders to fill all of the buy orders. So this is why we stop going up when we get to resistance. Now, sometimes some of the sellers who created the resistance, or some of the traders and investors who created the resistance with their sell orders, they start to worry, right? They know that the buyer is going to go to whoever is willing to sell at the lowest price, and they don't want to miss out. So they decide they'll sacrifice a couple points just to get the trade done. So they start undercutting each other, and then you start going lower. Now, this is the opposite. There's more shares for sale than there are to buy. So the sellers are forced to undercut each other, and that makes the market go down. Now, you can see, obviously, we're at this clear resistance. Here is the opposite on the bottom, right? You get people that sell at the bottom, and then when the price goes higher, they're like, oh, this sucks. If I can get my shares back at the same price I sold them at, I'm going to. So when we get back to the support level, you get remorseful sellers placing buy orders. And if there's enough, it creates support. Up here, it's the opposite at resistance. You get this from remorseful buyers, people that bought at the very peak here that decided they made a mistake when the price went down. So you get resistance stays intact because of buyer's remorse. Support can stay intact because of seller's remorse. Now, we're right at this critical level. And I think the thing to kind of focus on here is that stocks generally don't stay at important price levels for too long.
Mhm.
They tend to either break out or reverse. I mean, you could see down here when we got down to the support, we were literally there for only 2 days. Up here, we were here for maybe 3 or 4 days. So this thing, I think, is going to break one way or the other. And there's different ways you can trade this. You can use like a market neutral option strategy where you buy a call and put. You're thinking you're going to lose money on one, but you're going to make more money on the profit than you're going to have on the loss. But this thing looks pretty primed to go one way or the other. So this would definitely be on my radar screen. I don't think I would do anything yet, but I would want to see like which way we're going to kind of start to break here. So yeah, that's a really this is the type of chart that people like me like. It's very well defined levels. It's pretty amazing if you think about it. Why does Dollar Tree have the exact same valuation now that it did back in September? And in between here, you get all these ups and downs. Why did Dollar Tree over the last 2 weeks gain 21% in value? Like what happened in the company that makes it 20% more valuable? And the answer is probably nothing. It's just investor perceptions have changed. So, oh yeah, okay. So I see.
Well, I can actually give you some context there. They announced earlier this week with their last earnings report that they're going to divest Family Dollar for $1 billion. And the thought here is that the divestiture of Family Dollar is actually going to be good in the long run for Dollar Tree because you're, I guess, cutting off some of the fat, so to speak. So that changed, but Mark, that changed this week. To your point about it's now back at the same valuation that it was at September last year when Family Dollar was part of it. I mean, that's still, I think, Steelman's the whole point about psychology here. So
yeah, there's no doubt about it. People talk about obviously earnings and margins and this and that, and maybe in the longer term that stuff comes into play, but in the shorter term, just from a trader's perspective, that's what I think about is the psychology. Like I saw this ad where someone was like, they want a tutor to teach them about candlesticks, right? And if you think about the candlesticks, which have been around for 700 years, the Japanese candlesticks, forget what the names are, right? Forget that this is a whatever. Um, you know, what's important is to watch the price action and think like, what does this tell us? Who's in charge, the bulls or the bears, and is that changing? And boy, I saw a perfect chart with an inverted sledgehammer, like we were talking about last week, but now I can't remember what it was. Was it paychecks? Maybe. Let's see.
I go through so many charts that happens to me all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and say that happens to the best of us.
Yeah. All right. Well, it wasn't paychecks, but anyway, let's take a look at the S&P, right?
It actually looks like an inverted hammer up there at the top of March. That looks
Oh
like.
yeah, there we go. I mean, this isn't the one I was talking about, but it's kind of the same concept.
Okay.
Now, just think about this, right? This could be, the inverted hammer, or it could be the old triple Lindy pattern. That's what we used to call it when used to trade on the trading desk. It's like, oh, it's the old triple Lindy pattern from the Rodney Dangerfield Back to School movie.
Okay.
Which he does the triple Lindy. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No, my Rodney Dangerfield expertise is pretty much limited to Caddyshack.
Yeah, well, Back to School is good, man. It's definitely funny.
We might do something here this weekend with that. Then we'll see.
So look at this. Let's just think about the action here. Forget about the name. The Bulls are in charge. The blue team is pushing it up. Now here on this day, it got all the way up to here, right? All the way up to like around 158, 159. But what happened by the close? The sellers took over and pushed it all the way back down. So sometimes the leadership changes over the course of an extended period of time. And a lot of times that can show up on a pattern as like a rounded top or a rounded bottom. Sometimes the leadership changes in one day. And that's kind of what you're seeing here. In the morning, it looked like the Bulls were firmly in control, but by the close, the Bears came in and overpowered them. And sure enough, this was a sign that the market was going to head lower. And that's what happened. So whatever the name of this is, we don't really care. The important thing to see is when I look at this, this tells me, all right, we opened here, we got all the way up to here, but by the close, we were all the way back down here. So the sellers came in and flooded the market. So
and then look what happened the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
The flooding resumed.
Like here you have, this is another traditional candlestick pattern, right? We would call this a bearish engulfing pattern, or in Western terminology, we would call it an outside reversal day. But just think about this, right? The red candles are down days. On this particular day here, it looked like it was going to be another down day in the morning because this is where the opening price was. But by the close, the Bulls pushed it all the way back and took over. And the trading action engulfed the prior day's trading action, which is where the name came from. And this showed you that the trend was changing there. And you can even see the same kind of a thing here, right? It looked like it was going to be another down day, but by the close, the Bulls pushed it all the way back up. And then that told us that the trend was changing. So I think people get too caught up in like saying, is it this pattern or is it this pattern or that pattern? And they don't really understand that the price action that makes these levels form, or I should say makes these patterns form. But, you can see here, we go back to paycheck, you got your clear support, clear resistance up here. And this is good to know because a lot of times it's hard to figure out where to have a target. So if something is going up and it's trending higher and you're thinking like, boy, I got a profit on this stock, where the hell should I sell it? Well, it would be illogical to have your sell order at a level that had been resistance before. I mean, it's not perfect, but there's a good chance we're going to get up here and run into resistance. Someone might say, you know what, I'm going to sell it if it gets to 156 or 155, but they're just guessing. This resistance is around 154 and a half. So it might get to 154 and a half and then roll over and go down. As we talked about, the sellers might start undercutting each other, right? So the person that guessed missed out. The person that let the market tell them what to do put their order in the right place. I mean, of course, selling it at 154 isn't as good as selling it at 156, but it's better than missing it and watching this thing trend all the way back down to around 145.
Yeah, but getting filled at 154 is better than not getting filled at 156 and having it trend all the way back down.
Exactly. So you got to let the market tell you what to do. The best traders have like a kind of like a defensive or a reactionary mindset. They try to come in the morning with a clear head and like no opinions. Opinions are a very bad thing for a trader to have.
They are. Yes, they are.
It alters your thinking. Like if you go around telling everyone, hey, this stock's going to go higher, then all of a sudden, you might not even realize it, but say subconsciously, you might ignore signals that might be contrary to your opinion. It makes you subject to what we call confirmation bias. So we got to, for short-term traders, and I know most of our people here are like day traders or swing traders. It's a dangerous thing to have an opinion because it can mess with your psychology. But let's look at the S&P 500,
and they can be
right?
expensive, Mark. Though some of those opinions can be awfully expensive. That's the other aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, people people are influenced by external stimuli, and a lot of times they might not even know it. Like my favorite example is like fashion. Why are things in fashion? Why do people say, oh, that's a nice shirt, or oh, that's a nice, suit? I know people don't really wear suits anymore, but it's because society has kind of accepted it. And the person says, oh, that's a nice looking suit. If you look at the way people dressed 200 years ago, like, the way George Washington dressed or Thomas Jefferson, you would say, man, that looks kind of silly. But back in those days, they were like, wow, these guys look good. That's like cutting edge, really nice clothes. So you know, people have these stimuli, and a lot of times they don't even realize it. Like another one is, for example, sports. Now we're in the NCAA tournament. Say you're at a bar somewhere and you're watching a game, and someone comes in with the jersey on or a shirt that's your favorite team. It's like all of a sudden you feel like a bond with this person, even though you have no idea who the hell they are. They could be an axe murderer, but it's like, oh, you like the same team that I like. There's got to be something there, and that's because people there's like safety in
That's so
numbers. Like from
true.
an evolutionary point of view, I think people want to be part of a pack or part of a herd because I guess it's just safer. I mean, I see this all the time when I'm driving down the highway and you get to a toll booth and you got all these people going in one lane, and there's 50 cars, and the people that pull up just jump on that line. But 3 or 4 lanes over, there's a green light and there's like no one in that lane. So the people that jump online are the people that lose money in the stock market. The people that say, hey, that light's green and there's no one there, I'm going to go drive through that lane. Those are the people that make money in the market.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. Another highway example there is going to be the speed, right? You'll catch someone going 60 miles an hour, and then if a bunch of people are going 75, that person might speed up to 75. Well, I'm probably not going to get a ticket because I'm going with the flow of traffic. So in this case, I can go a little bit faster. I see that all the time because I'm the guy going 85, but that's another story for another day. Okay, good stuff there. I got another. I'm sorry, did you have anything else on the SPY? Because I do have another chart that I want to ask you about.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure the
sure.
chat's
No, I
got a
just
few
wanted to
too.
point out, just how precise, like, because we've been talking about this 566, 567 level for a few weeks now. And, it was support back here. Then this price up here around 575 was support. So for some reason, 566 and 575 are more important than the price levels that are in between. Some price levels are more important than others, and that's just how it is. And sometimes we know why, and sometimes we don't know why. But the reality is, we don't really need to know why. We just need to be able to identify them. Talking about our candlestick patterns, now I'm sure that this type of action has some kind of a candlestick name, but let's forget the name and just look at the action, right? Gap up, when we're going higher, it's because there's not enough supply or there's not enough sell orders. Buyers have to pay up. Now you get to here, and I think you would call this a doji, which is just like your little kind of unchanged pattern.
Yep.
So the fact that we're in such a narrow trading range on this day shows us that the forces of the supply and demand are becoming equalized. So if the bulls are in charge, what's the first thing that has to happen before the bears take over? Well, the power needs to shift. And this tells us, like, bulls are in charge. Oh, all of a sudden we're in equilibrium. The bulls and the bears have the same strength. And that was the first sign that the bears were taken over. And sure enough, we had this big move lower, and we're back below now this 566 level. So I think this is, I think if I was trading this, I would have the mindset of I'm leaning to the short side as long as SPY is below 566. If it reverses and gets back above that, then I would start leaning to the bullish side. But it looks like we're going to have a gap down here on the open. A lot
Yep.
of people are asking me, like, is this because there's all this news about the tariffs and the trade war and this, that, and the other thing. And I mean, I don't really know if it influences how much it influences the market overall. I mean, obviously it affects some of the car companies, although I don't know why General Motors would be down, right? Because isn't the tariff supposed to help the American companies?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So this is General Motors. Now let's just take a look at this guy.
I think one of the things that's just kind of dialing this back to psychology, from everything that I can gather from CEOs that are speaking to people that are actually in business, not the talking heads, we know what their agenda is, but I mean, like, the people that are actually doing the work. From what I can understand is that it's really the uncertainty that's not palatable, right? They don't know one way or another what tariffs are going to be on, how much, how long, this, that, and the other thing. And the feeling is that if they can get some clarity on that, they'll just work through it. These companies and people have been dealing with tariffs for decades. This is not a new thing. I think that the only thing that's really kind of moving stuff around here is the uncertainty or the back and forth cycle. I actually found a hilarious meme. Maybe I'll upload that and get that here. I don't want to make people upset, but I laughed. I laughed hysterically when I saw this the first time. So anyway, I think that's what's going on here. I didn't mean to digress, though.
All right, now let's just factor in all the tariff news, right? The stock is at the same place that it was at on March 10th. So, on March 10th, were people talking about tariffs? I don't know. But, it's just the psychology. And here we can see the old bearish engulfing pattern up here, right? On this particular day, Wednesday, it looked like it was going to be another up day because the open was higher than the previous day's close. But by the close, what happened? The bears pushed the buyers all the way down, and the trading action engulfed this day's action, which is where the name comes from. And sure enough, that told us that, all right, the bears are taking over. You can see this right here. This is a bearish engulfing pattern. It looked like it was going to be an up day, but by the close, it was a down day. And importantly, we closed below the prior day's open. Most volume trades on the prior day's open and close, or I should say, I'm sorry, most volume trades on the open and close. So just by definition, there's a good chance there's going to be support or resistance at prices that were opens and closes. So the fact that you got through the prior day's open tells us, like, all right, the bears are really kind of getting aggressive here. And sure enough, the next day was a big down day.
Okay. Just to kind of clean up here, Quantum, GM manufactures in Mexico. They'll be hurt by the tariffs, but not Ford because they manufacture in the U.S. I think there are also plants, though. Well, I think that there are also GM plants. I know that they do manufacture some of their cars in Mexico. In fact, my Trans Am was from Mexico. That's another story. But I believe they also have plants in the U.S. So again, this just kind of goes back to like some of the confusion about how it's actually going to work. We'll see. I do have another chart for you, though, if you're ready. You want to do Ford first?
Yeah, let's do Ford because this was the chart of the day a few days ago. We're right when we got up to here. And I just want to point out, the clear resistance levels, clear support, and then support can convert into resistance. And that's your old buyer's remorse. So you can see buyer's remorse here where it keeps resistance intact, right? The people that bought at the top hold on to their losing positions. And when it gets back to where they can get out at break even, they place sell orders. And if there's enough, it'll become resistance again. Down here, you get the same thing, buyer's remorse, but it's manifested in a different way. This changes what was support into resistance because there's people that bought at this support level who, assuming they still hold it when the support broke, they're like, oh man, now I'm underwater. If it gets back to my level, I'm going to sell and get out at break even. So support can become resistance because of buyer's remorse. Resistance can stay intact because of buyer's remorse. And we see that right here. Once we didn't get through that resistance, a lot of the people that were selling were like, oh man, I don't want to miss out. So I better reduce the price I'm willing to sell at. Other people see that, they do the same thing, and you get the snowball effect that pushes the price lower. So
you know what I like most about this chart right here, Mark? I say all the time on this show that one of the things that we need to see for a really sticky resistance or support level to reverse are 3 closes above or below that level. So in the case of Ford here, if you want that resistance to turn into support, we need to have 3 daily candles close above that 1027 level. Look at that chart. You had 2. And look what happened on the third day. It couldn't, and it got absolutely smoked. That resistance is still a tough resistance.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I got a chart here for you. UPS. They recently reported earnings. They got crushed. But I want to know what you see here in the chart because it sure looks to me like this is at a long time support level. You back that chart out. This 110, 111 level looks like this has been in play a number of times years ago. So let me know what you see here on the UPS chart.
All right. Well, I would say here, and again, right, we can see what we just saw with Ford, right? What was support turned into resistance. So say you bought the stock down here and it's trending higher and you're like, where should I sell it? Someone might say, if it gets to 125, I'm going to sell it. But that person is just guessing. The person that says, around 122 was support, I know there's a good chance that support turns into resistance. So I'm going to have my sell order around 121 or 122. I would always try to be like 1% below. You don't want to miss out. But if the resistance is at, say, 122, maybe my target would be like 121. But the person that let the market tell them what to do was able to sell and get out before this big move lower came. The person that guessed and said, I'm going to sell at 125, they missed the trade because they were just guessing. Now, I would say here, we're sitting right at the support level. Support is a big group of buyers. And yeah, so support is a big group of buyers. If the support breaks, that means the stock trades below it and stays below it. It tells us that the people that created the support with their buy orders are out of the market. Maybe they canceled, maybe they finished. But now when sellers come in, they have a hard time finding people to buy their shares from them, and they have to push the price down. So because the S&P looks kind of weak this morning, it's back below that important 566 level, I would think that there's a good chance that this support is going to break and we're going to get a decent move lower. But, I'm not sure. So I would wait for it to actually happen and then jump in. You can't just be like, well, I think this is going to go down, because maybe it reverses and it goes up. But it's like we talked about before. When things get to important price levels, they tend not to stay at them for too long. They either break down or they reverse. So this is another trade I would say is setup. When I say setup, I mean, it looks like there's going to be an imminent move. And when I say imminent, I mean maybe over the next couple of days or next week or so. So
okay, please humor me here. Reset the chart and back out. 2019, 2020, just right click, reset chart, reset price scale. And just back out a little bit more, just a little bit more, and look at where these support levels go if you extend those lines.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you talk about this being ready, I mean, look at this. And even on a weekly, it looks the same, which is what you have here.
Yeah, look at this bottom here. Now, this brings up another important point, right? You see how we have this long-term support here. This is December of 15, and this is April of 20. So more than 5 years apart here. When we look at a long-term chart, let me start again. When you look at a chart, you're looking at psychology, right? When you look at a long-term chart, you can see the psychology of maybe the long-term buy and hold investors, people that bought and, people sold at the bottom. And when it finally gets back there, they place buy orders. And you might say, like, Mark, how is it possible that this level can be important for 5 years? Well, guess what? It's mind-boggling to me as well. And I've been doing this for a long time, but the charts don't lie. I mean, that was clear support. So this is the psychology of the long-term buy and hold investor. If we look at the 1-year chart, we're looking at the psychology of, your you could say your swing trader. If you look at the 1-day chart, you're looking at the psychology of the real short-term people. So this is the 1-day chart from yesterday. And you can see here the same dynamics, right? Support became resistance, resistance became support. And I call this the fractal nature of charting. And I just give myself a little pat on the back here. I don't think I've ever heard anyone else talk about how it's fractal in nature. And one of the people asked before I jumped on here about, do you look at the same patterns in Bitcoin as you do in like a stock? And the answer is yes, because whether you're trading Bitcoin or you're trading UPS or you're trading oil or you're trading currencies or you're trading bonds, people experience the same emotions. And this is what we see on a chart if it's done correctly. I think technical analysis has a bad reputation or a dubious reputation. And the reason why is because a lot of the people that do it really don't understand it. They look for the patterns on the charts, but they don't really understand that the price action that makes the charts or the patterns form. And then you get people that are into kind of this esoteric stuff, which I was never. I mean, if you can make money off of it, great. But like Elliott wave stuff, Gann theory stuff, no one in the institutional world looks at that.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I do have another one here for you.
Yeah, man, fire away.
Lululemon just reported earnings. They got smoked as on just kind of a weak guide and what looks like a consumer that is indeed continuing to weaken, especially at the top end here. So what does the chart tell you here in Lululemon? Because we are down from what was that, 420-ish? Down here to 305. And I'm sure Hans here in the chat said if Lulu comes down to 260, it looks like you can buy some there. So what does the chart tell you?
All right. Well, so this is right where it's trading this morning, right? Like right here. So this isn't a coincidence that this is where, at least for now, it found support. There's
Mhm.
people that sold here who are buying their shares back right now because they sold, and when the price went higher, they experienced seller's remorse. So at least for now, they've put a little bit of a floor under it. Now that would be my first level, and let's see what I would look at next. I mean, we're getting a little kind of nitpicky here, but 300, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
not surprising that there's support of 300 because people like nice round levels. This is what we call a psychological level.
Yep.
People say, people don't say, oh, if it gets to 302, I'm going to buy it. If it gets to 298, I'm going to buy it. People say if it gets to 300, I'm going to buy it, or I'm going to sell it. And retail traders do that, and institutional traders do the same exact thing. So, I would be looking, if this keeps going lower, or well, just for educational purposes here, right? I would just kind of mark off where these former bottoms were. So one was right around 255. One was, whoops, one was down here around 245, and then the other one down here around 225. So that's the way I would look at this. But again, we have a stock that is at an important price, and when stocks get to important prices, they tend not to stay there for too long. They tend to move. All right, what else you got?
FDX. With just because we were talking about UPS, this person, Kumo, good morning, Kumo, also wants to take a look at FDX.
Wow, so yeah, look at that. I don't know what happened here.
I believe that was earnings, but let me confirm because I didn't actually trade that one.
Yeah, so sometimes when you get a big move on the open,
Yep.
right? Whether it's earnings.
Mark, sorry, just to interrupt here. Earnings on March 20th after hours, and then it caught a slew of price target adjustments lower the following morning.
So this is what happens sometimes, and I've seen this happen a lot of times. There's some news that comes out, and the initial move is an overreaction. So FedEx reports, the stock opens up here down to 220, which would be down, $25. And then over the course of the morning, you get all these analysts at all these different investment funds. They're having their morning meeting, and they're like, oh, let's look at FedEx. And it's like, oh, wait a second, these numbers are not as bad as they initially appeared. Let's go out and start buying some. And that usually happens like around 10 o'clock or 10:30 in the morning, because that's when their research meetings are done. So if something is down really big on the open or up really big on the open, and you're thinking about a reversal, keep an eye on it, because if the headline number is misleading, there's a good chance there's going to be a reversal around mid morning. If the news really is as bad as they've said it was, well, then you're probably going to trade sideways, or you're going to maybe even trend lower. But that's a good thing to look for. Like we just looked at Lululemon. If there's going to be some kind of a reversal there, or maybe a move lower, it's probably going to start mid morning, because people are going to be like, oh, well, these earnings really are bad. Let's go out and sell, right? And that will cause the trend to go lower. If people are like, these numbers are bad, but they're not as bad as people think, so let's go start buying it. So that's one way to trade earnings. A lot of times people ask me, like, how do I trade earnings? There's basically two ways. One is the one I just explained, and the other is to know a company so well that you can disagree with the street. Like, in other words,
Mhm.
Wall Street says, all right, FedEx is going to earn $1 a share. And you're like, I've done my research. I've looked at this a lot. They're getting a lot of new business. I think it's going to be more than $1. I think they're going to earn $1.20. So I'm going to buy ahead of the earnings, like the day before the earnings, or so forth. So those are two things to look at.
That kind of reminds me of your toll booth analogy, right? You have everyone thinking that the earnings are going to be, they're in the same lane, right? They're in that lane that says earnings are going to be this and that, but you know the company pretty well. And you say, no, I'm going to go to the other lane because I think it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, that's like, people that are like deep value. Like, I used to work with this one fund where the guy who ran it, he had maybe 40 stocks on his radar screen, and he knew everything about these.
Mhm.
I mean, he knew everything just because he did the earnings, he listened to the calls, he studied the numbers, and at any given time he would have maybe 10 or 12 stocks in his portfolio of the 40 that are on his list. And the guy's performance is like, off the charts. And that's a hedge fund. That's a deep value hedge fund. People think that hedge funds are can be like, really sophisticated and complicated. And some of them can, but some hedge funds are boring. They're plain vanilla, right? Like the one I'm just talking about. Guy trades maybe once a week or once a month. The difference between a hedge fund and a regular fund is just the fee structure. In a hedge fund, the manager gets what we call a performance fee, which is a piece of the action or a piece of the profit, I should say, and they get a management fee. In a mutual fund or a traditional investment manager, all they get is the management fee. So that's the difference. People, like everyone, I see all these people. It's like former hedge fund trader, former hedge fund trader, former hedge fund trader. Well, as someone who really was a former hedge fund trader, I can tell you it's not it's not as glamorous as it sounds. And there's a lot of people in important positions that don't know what they're doing. Like whether it could be nepotism. The guy who owns the firm hires his son, and it's like, oh, you can manage all this money even though you're incompetent. But nepotism happens in any business. I've seen it.
Okay, real good stuff here, Mark. Again, another great Friday morning. Really quickly, the economic cycle that we're in right now, just to kind of simplify it for everyone here. Look, this means, no offense to anybody. I'm trying to get a laugh from everybody. Here's the economic cycle we're in. I'm sorry. It's funny. It's funny. We'll see what ends up happening. Mark, really good stuff yet again. Really, really appreciate it. Do me a favor. Have a great rest of your weekend and stick them close to the pin, would you?
Yeah. Have a good day, man. I hope they,
we'll do. And actually, I owe you a phone call. I'm going to be on the golf course later today, but maybe over the weekend I'll give you a call. We'll talk.
Yeah. I want to follow up with what we had for the conversation last week.
Yep.
But
gotcha.
Probably the best golf advice I've ever heard, which I'll give it to you before I leave. One of my friends said to me one day, I'm on the golf course and I, having a bad day or whatever. He's like, Mark, golf is not about golf. Golf is about drinking beer with your buddies and getting away from your wife.
Okay. Well, there you go. Not married, so I'll take your word for it there. Mark, really good stuff. Enjoy your weekend, all right?
Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone.
All right. Take care. That is Mark Petrino. Awesome stuff from him, as always. So, all right. Hope you found the chart time or the charting there pretty awesome. Also, Beach Bum, good morning. I've seen a couple of times here. You folks, I know Beach Bum addressed me here as Lord Ryan. It ruffled Lion's feathers here a little bit. Lion doesn't like nicknames and stuff like that, especially when they use the Lord's name in the nickname. But just so you understand, Beach Bum is an OG. He's been around for a long time. He knows what he's doing. And just so you understand why he's saying that, there's actually a good reason. It's not an actual given nickname. It's literally a title that I've earned. Owning land in Scotland makes you a lord. That's why Beach Bum says that. Okay. All right, folks. Mark Petrino's departure leaves room for 13. Let's bring him on and see how he's doing. 13, good morning. Hope you're in a good mood here today because we are on a Friday fun day. That is for sure.
Hi, Flying Ryan. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, Flying Ryan. Hey, I'm not even upset with that. We'll take that. All right.
I wanted to be part of the Ryan nicknames crew, so here I am.
Okay.
How's everybody doing this morning? It's Friday, everybody. It's the last day of the week. We're going to have some fun, and then we're going to have a good weekend. How about that?
You know what? That sounds like a plan. Let's book that. Okay, what do you want to start with? Movers? You got any charts you want to look at?
Let's get these movers out of the way.
Let's do it.
There's a few that are interesting. I did some diving into a little bit. A couple that I really like that we've traded before. I was even talking about one of them earlier this week. So we'll see what we get out of there. Oh, looks like the market's suddenly getting a pop here.
Yeah, so real quick, you know what I get? Let's check in on that. Then we will roll through some of these movers here. Here's your intraday 5-minute SPY chart. You will see that we did trade down. The initial reaction to that core PCE data that we got here this morning was up. We very quickly reversed and sold off. However, it looks like we did kind of hold on to this 464.5 area. So it is bouncing off that. Look, the reality, I want to see the opening print here. It's whatever, all the stuff that happens in the pre-market tends not to matter when the regular session opens, but this is where we're at here on the SPY.
Yeah, 565 has been an important level that's been getting defended a lot lately, particularly this month. So we're going to be looking to see if 565 holds up today or not.
Okay. Real good stuff there on the SPY. Let's take a look at the movers here. The first one here I don't know why I can't click on it there. PRTG, Portage Biotech. And y'all folks should recognize this one because we've traded this before off of the relative volume scanner and off of PRs that we've got here in the morning. Portage Biotech shares are trading higher after the company reported new data for Port 7 at the 2025 European Lung Cancer Congress. Full disclosure, we talked a little bit about how much cancer sucks yesterday. I had mentioned that I lost my father to cancer. I actually lost him to lung cancer. So just so you folks are aware, whenever I'm talking about some of these cancer stocks, there's definitely a little bit extra when we're talking about companies that are trying to solve lung cancer. Know my bias. There's no way around it. Portage Biotech here, ticker PRTG, data here from a lung cancer event. Stock here is up 157.8%. We had a huge move in the after hour. We took another one here today, and the one today was actually on much higher volume. Well, we'll see if we resolve higher from here. Quick look around the horn on this. 1.06% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Pretty much no squeeze potential in there, at least not based on those stats. 1.3 million shares here in the float. 13, what do you got?
Well, this company has, like you said, 1.3 million shares in the float. This news that we're seeing today is off of a preclinical information for their Port 7 drug. This is for mesothelioma. They have about a quarter of cash. They still do need some more money, but they recently did a 2.15 million private placement in January, so that should help move their cash position along for a short period of time. The other thing about this is that they have a compliance deadline, June 9th, to regain NASDAQ compliance because they were not meeting the shareholder equity. They weren't meeting the minimum revenue requirements. They just weren't meeting the minimum compliances that were needed to stay listed. So if they don't meet those milestones by June 9th, NASDAQ will begin the delisting process with them. So that's what I've got with PRTG. As far as the chart looks, I just had it here. It's going to go, there it is. So we've traded up to 1350 this morning, kind of riding along VWAP right now. We're going to want to see VWAP hold into the open if we're going to get another retest of 1350 or higher. So if we do lose that, we're going to start to focus on some support levels on the way down. If we do lose VWAP, I'd be looking at 1170, and beneath that, 1105, maybe even 11 even.
I think $10 even also below that could also be a support. Not negating those other levels, but I'm just saying 10 sure seems to be another support level here. PRTG. Okay, good stuff there. A couple of things here real quick. Jonathan mentioning TradingView showing 163K float for PRTG and 666,000 shares outstanding. So does look like that's a little bit different than the stats that we have here.
My broker shows 800K. So we're getting all those kinds. Gosh,
so we're all over the place here on that. Okay, well, nonetheless, it's whatever number you choose, the reality is that it's low.
It's very low, yeah.
And as a result, we could see this move here real quick. Shrikar here, this is actually hilarious. He asked me to ask Mark about Wolf, ran out of time, so now he's asking you about Wolf. Shrikar, yes.
Sure, we'll get to that.
We will definitely take a look at Wolf. Give us a sec here. We're going to run through some of the movers first. Next here on the list, DBVT. This is DBV Technologies, and they announce up to $307 million financing to advance Viaskin peanut program. I'm not even sure I know what that is. Nonetheless, this stock, huge run here, popped from 4 to above 12, came all the way back down to 6. We're actually under the VWAP right now, and if we zoom in here, you can see that this has actually used the VWAP as resistance all pre-market. That is going to absolutely be one of the first levels that we want to see get taken out. Want to see a hold above that. We see these on these movers all the time. Quick look around the horn here, 0.37. Yes, that's right, 0.37% of the float shorted. 14 days to cover, but that's because the average volume is 24,000. We've traded almost 5.7 million here today. I suspect that there's not going to be a short squeeze here. Not a whole lot. Days to cover is just because the average volume is low. Obviously, there's eyeballs here. That volume's not going to be low here today. So just factor that in. 13, what do you got here? Ticker DBVT.
Yeah, so this company's float's a little bit thicker here. 92 million shares in the float. It's going to be harder to push around. The 307 million in financing to advance the ViaSkin peanut program. This is actually a product that they have that they've already gone through clinical trials, and this financing that they have is that they're raising is in order to get the FDA approval and get the product launched in the U.S. So that's what this is for. Now the financing has a bunch of different warrants attached to it. So there are some conditions there, and I can't really get into that because there's a lot to unpack there. But fortunately, there is going to be a conference on March 31st, Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern, where the company is going to discuss that financing and the FDA update. So you could potentially have another catalyst coming here, especially if something good gets said in that conference that the company is going to be having. They do have about a quarter and a half of cash on the balance sheet, but with this financing, it's not really even an issue anymore. They're going to be just fine. So that's what I've got on DBVT as far as what's going on with the company. The chart, like you said, just kind of hanging out underneath the VWAP here. That'll be the level to watch for with this one, either just before we open or after we open, is to see how it gets back above the VWAP, if it even can. And if it does, then we can start examining just how high this thing goes, because it had a crazy move in the morning, but since then, just sideways flat.
Okay, we'll see here. DBVT really, like you were just saying there, it really needs to kind of break out of this area. We'd love to see it get above VWAP. Okay, next on the list here is Cooler. I know this is one that you follow quite a bit. Looks like they reported earnings last night. Cooler Technology Group shares are trading higher following a Q4 revenue beat. We actually tried to pop again here in the pre-market. We came back in. We're still holding plus 15% here. Again, quick reminder here on Cooler, 10.39% of the float shorted with 1.96 days to cover. We've got this in the space theme, at least somewhat in the space theme. 216.9 million share float. 13, what's going on with your Cooler?
Yeah, so this is a company that specializes in thermal battery solutions. So anything that is you're going to require batteries, they're going to try to be a part of that space. So space is going to be one of them. They already actually have their products in space on spacecraft now. They partnered with Lockheed Martin to do that. They have a lot of other partnerships with some really big names. They are going to be big in space. They are going to be big, potentially in EVs, but also drones and robotics. So drones and robotics also starting to be an up and coming theme here. I don't think the drone theme ever really died. It just, it's cool enough. So Cooler is going to be a part of that a little bit. And they expect their revenue to double this year. So we could just be seeing this get going here. But the problem with the way this trades is the share structure. It's very heavy. 216 million shares in the float. And, I've talked about this before. I've thought that this is a company that really does need to reverse split, but the CEO says, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, that's fine. They likely don't need to because they're NASDAQ compliant again. But aside from that, this is just going to be one that is going to move more on the headlines and more on the theme. So until we get some more excitement back into the space stocks or the drone stocks, and maybe even the robotic ones, this is probably going to start continue to trade lower, especially with that heavy float.
Okay, there you go. Cooler, good breakdown. Good stuff there. Got a couple more stocks on here that we recognize. Can't believe it, but the movers list is actually giving us stocks today. Next one here is going to be App, ticker APP, App Lovin. Also, just want to kind of share this. We've joked about Mick Lovin, the whole 9 yards. I was actually watching CNBC this morning when I was waking up, and Becky and Joe went back and forth about saying the same thing. They actually talked about the name of the company. It has no reference to Superbad. Apparently there was a company called Blog Lovin' that they tried to imitate, and they were planning on changing their name every month. But as they grew in size, they realized maybe that wasn't a good idea. And so they landed on App Lovin'. I'm just really happy to know that other folks out there think of Superbad when they see this ticker, but that's a digression here. What's going on with this, you ask? Is this thing got absolutely pounded in the afternoon? AppLovin shares are trading higher this morning. The stock may be reversing after initially selling off 20% on Monday amid a short seller report. So we also then got another short seller report, I believe, yesterday. What was that? Or was that actually on Monday there? It was the Muddy Waters one, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was like yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it was yesterday. It was at 2:35 p.m.
Yesterday, 2:30. What do I have wrong?
March 27th, Thursday.
Yeah,
Yesterday.
2:36 p.m. Thank you. Jeez, I'm blind this morning. Muddy Waters says it's short AppLovin here. And the ultimate, no. Here's the actual report. I've been giving these out whenever we talk about short reports. I encourage you folks to go through the report itself if you're going to trade it long or short, frankly, here. But that's what's going on. Misappropriates user data is what they said here. Now, AppLovin, you see the chart here. You see the huge move down yesterday. It is bouncing here today. So 13, given everything that we've seen here with previous short reports, this one, what do you got?
Sure, this could bounce on a short report, but as I was saying, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before in happy hour, the chart itself just looks bearish, and I'm just going to lean on that and not worry about the short reports. Looking at this chart, this looks like it's going to go lower. You have from the middle of February, and this is the really funny part to me, you have this huge pop up into this into the 500 area. The only green day you had, where it actually had it closed green, that was 5.10 and 13 cents. AppLovin on February 14th, Valentine's Day, had its last green close there, and then it just absolutely sold off. Hilarious to me. Hilarious.
So someone gave it red roses for Valentine's Day,
yeah.
you're saying?
Hilarious. So this thing's selling off, gets cut absolutely in half in a very short period of time. Trying to recapture the 50-day SMA, rejected. Now we're coming lower. This is a bear flag resolving. I feel like this is going to come down to the 200-day SMA, probably even go lower and fill the gap.
Yeah,
that's my technical assessment of this.
I'm with you completely. Here's the bigger daily chart, and you can see how crispy these levels actually are. That bounce that took us back to that previous consolidation area that was before that big breakout that you were highlighting there that ended on Valentine's Day. The volume point of control right in there at 337. The 50-day moving average right in there at 348. This thing broke to 20-day and a huge pullback down. I'm with you here. 217 looks to be the next spot here. APP as that rolls over to the 200-day. Okay. Let me go back to the movers list here. Next one is Rocket Lab. Boy, timing is everything, it seems, 13, doesn't it? Rocket Lab joins U.S. Space Force, $5.6 billion launch program. Stock is moving higher on this news. Moved on the after hours. Moved again here in the pre-market, although it is holding higher here by about 6.5%. Again, just in case anyone cares, because it's actually got some here. Short interest on this name, 18.11% with 3 days to cover. Stock has a float of 311 million, so it definitely trades thick. 13, what's going on here? Rocket Lab.
Yeah, so I was talking about liking some space stocks earlier this week. I mentioned Iridium and Sirius as the ones I like the most. I also was taking a look at some that I was going to start to take a position in at some point soon, and those were Redwire and this one, Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab getting joining the Space Force's 5.6 billion launch program. That is not too surprising to me, because the thing about Rocket Lab is that they have 2 launch sites. One's in New Zealand and the other is in Virginia, which launches exclusively for the U.S. government. So I'm not too surprised that they are joining this program. So that's number one. Number two, this is going to be this program is going to be dependent on their Neutron rocket, and that hasn't launched yet. It's not commercially ready, but they are going to they are expecting to launch it for the first time later this year. So I think news headlines revolving around the neutron rocket are going to be even heavier. They're going to carry more weight. Another issue with this company is 311 million shares in the float. They do have a pretty good amount of short interest, 18%, with 3 days to cover. So there is a potential for some short squeezing to happen here. But I still feel like this may need to do some proving that we're turning around here before I decide to go long. One of those things that needs to happen is we need to get above $22. I feel like that's a big resistance area for Rocket Lab.
Yeah, and just kind of looking at this 5-minute chart here, it looks like 2050 is actually a pretty significant area as well. Also, by the way, oh no, that was CNBC had the Lululemon CEO on here, but it was from last night. I just wanted to mention that. Okay, good stuff. Rocket Lab.
And there's more. I mean, we don't need to get into it, but there's more I could talk about with Rocket Lab because I covered this one yesterday when I was covering the space theme, and a lot of really cool things going on with Rocket Lab, and their turnaround time especially was interesting. So going to be a big player in the rocket launch capacity here that we're looking for.
Okay. All right. Next here, the other one I wanted to mention here is MLGO, because this has been an all-week affair for us. MLGO, we're still expecting another offering here. This is actually popping a little bit here in the pre-market again. You can see yesterday we had a huge move right out of the open. Kind of a big pullback, I guess, a little bit of a bounce there, but it really just kind of settled there. Stayed there for the after hours and some of the pre-market here today, but it looks like it's trying to get rolling here. We actually are beneath the VWAP. Oops. We are beneath the VWAP here. We'll see if we can recapture that, but this is holding the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Do you have anything else on MLGO? I know we've talked about this a lot this week, so.
The only thing I'm going to have on this is just levels. Where this could go, where it's going to sink to. Just based on what we've traded before. I mean, man, this thing is still holding up. I haven't put out levels since we got back up here into the high teens to almost to 20. Wow. By the way, that was a nice move yesterday after we came out of that halt. This went right down after that, so that was special.
Special.
I'll get some levels before we open here, which is in about 4 minutes. I'll get you some levels for MLGO because don't know if this is going to give us the same price action that we were getting earlier this week, but I'll still have levels for if it does.
First one there is going to be 18. That's what you need to know for right now. All right, let's do Wolf here real quick. This was Shrikar wanted to know about this. This is Wolf Speed. There's two Wolves. This is WOLF here. Looks like this is getting absolutely destroyed here in the pre-market on volume. Minus 36.6% here. Let's see if we've got any news here.
Not since yesterday, really.
Yeah, CEO Wolfspeed names ex-Micron exec to revive the struggling chip maker. I don't know what's going on here this morning. I don't see anything.
Look at the short interest on this thing. This thing must be hated for some reason.
43.65% of the float traded with 1.97 days to cover.
Look at the headline from March 25th. Put volume heavy, directionally bearish. I'd say that's so. There has to be something earlier on that got investors to put it in that direction. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a short report here. The Fly had a short report on Wolf, GoGo, and it looks like Pilgrim's Pride.
They have to cut their workforce. Yeah, I mean, we have to go through the headlines and just see what's going on with this. Yeah, because they've been getting hammered for a while.
Yeah, I didn't see anything new though. Does anyone else have anything? DMS, I know you were asking about this. Shrikar was asking about this.
Well, let's see. When did this really start?
Well, you do that. Let me check the Twitter streets here for the group and see if I can find anything out there. You always have to take it with a grain of salt, but might as well look. We did this for Angie last time, if you recall.
Yeah, and you might get an opportunity here for a rebound because this thing is getting pretty oversold. We're going to be approaching sub 30 RSI on the daily chart here if it goes much lower during the regular session, which we have about a minute and a half before we open. And so there could be a bounce coming in Wolf pretty soon here. We are going to gap down at this open.
Legal concern looms over Wolfspeed as Jonathan Fistel LLP investigates possible regulatory violations by executives.
Now, regulatory as in what?
That's all I got.
Okay. because they are a chip company. Are they violating export controls? That's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's all I got. There's a huge move down here. We'll see if we get anything. One of the things for all you that have Benzinga Pro, my biggest recommendation here, and I won't have it on during the show, but my biggest recommendation here is turn the squawk on, because as news comes out about this, Charlie will be on top of that. Okay. Wolf, 5 puts expiring today the 5 puts that are expiring today were 4 cents. Yep, they're more than 4 cents now, Jay. Oh my goodness. Okay, how much time do we have? God, I got
less than 30 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
NLGO is trying to push up to its VWAP right now. It just started making a move. It gets
QNTM, Quantum Biopharma, pushing on volume as we speak, right ahead of the open. LXRX here, this is actually came back in, just recaptured the VWAP. They're trading higher after they announced an exclusive licensing agreement with Novo Nordisk. And we're open.
There we go.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right, so let's see. What's the broader market doing out of the open here? Are we going higher or lower?
SPY's bouncing a little bit. It is up off the lows, but it's still negative here, 0.3. S&P futures down 0.25% here today. Bitcoin actually, that bounced from this morning's levels, but that's off the high here, 85,565. Amazon pulled back right out of the open. Apple pulled back. Netflix pulled back right out of the open. Tesla pulling back.
Right at the trend line that I had, had been making for this bottoming action here. If we break this trend line, we're going to go lower. So this is a do or die day, it seems, for the market.
Okay.
SQQQ, that's starting to rise. Cooler, that's getting some movement up. 185 was the high yesterday when they reported earnings.
DBVT can't really do anything yet. Here's that Cooler. Looks like that is above the VWAP. Watch that 180 level there. Cooler.
Yeah, PRTG not doing a whole lot yet, just kind of bouncing around. It might be pushing up here, trying to get above VWAP. And I guess you could even do a trend line here with PRTG. If you start with the 1350 high and draw it through the next high, that was about at 850 this morning. Yeah,
I got you.
That would be the trend line to break. We move through that. We could go higher than 1350.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's good stuff here. I did really quickly notice GME, and I just want to give a PSA. I just want to give a PSA here real quick. So you see GME, they got absolutely pounded yesterday. A couple of things here. The reason that this moved down is because they were adding Bitcoin to the treasury. Please understand 2 things. Number one, not every company out there is MicroStrategy. So when they talk about adding Bitcoin to the treasury, it doesn't necessarily mean the stock's going to ramp. But perhaps more importantly, let me just give you folks a word of warning. If you're going to come at Tim Melvin live on the show, you better come correct. You better do your effing homework, and you better come correct, because we had a gentleman in here that was, we'll just say, smack talking Tim live about GME, saying how GME has outperformed the SPY and all of this stuff. And I don't see him around anymore after GME pulled back 25% yesterday. Crickets from the peanut gallery out there. So I'm just saying, we're going to keep bringing guests on here. I'm going to try to bring you guests that have a lot of experience and have seen quite a bit, because I want to be able to impart knowledge. But just understand, you might not agree with some of the guests, but if you're going to attack them and come at them, come correct. Otherwise, you're going to look like a damn fool.
Cool.
And that's what happened here.
Cooler went right to 185 and then turned around. So it just hit that after hours high yesterday. Don't think it's done. Certainly looks like it's still wanting to go.
Here we go. Cooler looks like this is going to break out here.
And speaking of breaking out, PRTG.
I was just going to go and see that. There we go.
Perfect. Now let's see if we can close above this.
SPY reversing to the lows here. S&P futures and SPY both doing that.
All right. Yes. Go PRTG. Go. That's a good one. 1350 is what we're looking for here. That's the next resistance. And then after that, let me see what else I can find for you, because that was the level I wanted to get over. Wow, 1350 goes back.
This one actually looks like this might get going here.
14.15 would be the next one. Let me just mark this off here. I like 14.15 next.
Okay, VIX here, VIX reading 1947, so it actually looks like the VIX might test the 20 level here. Apple still continuing to pull, Amazon still continuing to pull, even Costco is still continuing to pull here. Bitcoin is also off of its highs.
Let's go. We're going to have some good opportunities, folks. Don't you worry. All right. Let's see. Okay. So PRTG, that came back in. Yeah. Still looking at that 1350 area and then 1415 after that.
I know that this is a penny stock, but CISO, I think Crow was on this one yesterday. This is actually getting rolling here. TMC, the metals company, this, oh, okay. That just literally just reversed when I went to it. LXRX, that was the penny stock here this morning. That's struggling with its VWAP. WIMI struggling with the $1 level. Got a lot of penny stocks on here. App, that pre-market trading up that it got, completely deleted in short order here. I don't see anything else really on this list yet. What's Harmony Gold Mining? I think gold's probably going to 3,500. Looks like some of the miners are going with this. So
absolutely.
GDX also on that list here.
I may have put it in the happy hour chat a while back, earlier this month, but I think we'll see 3,500 in gold for sure by the end of the year. That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Is he saying lunar higher?
Let's take a look. Mark, that could have been Catman that was attacking Tim. I screenshotted it. I have the name. I'll keep that in my back pocket just in case we need to lean on that. I didn't really feel the need to really name anybody here today. It was just more of conceptually, especially when it comes to Tim. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's been doing this for 4+ decades. Not going to be swayed by some junk that's out there.
The folks that are trading lunar, just to tell you right now, this is looking like if we can get above the 20-day SMA, this thing is going to go to 10. So if this continues to trade up, we're going to want to see a capture of what is this, 880. That could easily take us up to test the 200-day SMA, which would mean we see a 10 print.
Tesla puts just going here, and a lot of these are the ones that expire today. So we actually saw the inverse of this yesterday, right? We saw a whole bunch of Tesla calls getting bought into this move higher here. Same expiry, the March 28th expiry. Well, today we're seeing the exact inverse of that. Not only did it give up this entire move yesterday, now it looks to be rolling lower. Put buyers look to be going into that here. Tesla, I'm seeing a ton of that here this morning.
So winning knife, that came right down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, or pretty close to it. Now, MLGO is also did the same thing and then rebounded. So I think if we watch what MLGO does and then look and see if WIMI does the same thing, it's because WIMI's got a huge stake in MLGO, so we could see some delayed, similar price action that's slightly delayed to what MLGO is doing. There's something to watch for.
WIMI pulling here out of the open.
Yeah. PRTG still holding above VWAP. Want to see this thing get above 1350 and hit 1415. That'd be great.
Good job, Izzy, on your Amazon scalp here, Amazon bounce. Done. I don't know what, other than just kind of a quick move down. I'm not sure what else. This is actually bouncing with the market now that we look here. S&P futures actually trying to get above its VWAP as we speak right here. And the breadth, interesting, the breadth here is starting to get better. Dow breadth in the green, Russell breadth in the green, NICE, Q, and SPY still lower. Let's take a look at the advanced decliners that Anne-Marie talks about. Advanced decliners minus 263, but that is up off the low. So we'll see if that can flip green too. Which PDD you said?
No, DBVT. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I just couldn't even get the whole ticker out.
I know. I was okay. Here we go.
Yeah, so that one, kind of putting in some chopsticks here. If we get above VWAP, we could see this trade better. I mean, this thing just kind of completely reversed the entire downside move it had. Want to see a capture of that VWAP because that would be directionally bullish if we did.
Okay. Jay here saying, keep an eye on semis. They lead and they've been weak for some time.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, how's NVIDIA doing today?
Actually, I don't even know if we've looked at NVIDIA.
Slightly up. It's over 112, but it needs to get above 113 and hold above that if it's going to turn around here. Otherwise, I think we still go and visit 105.
I don't have it on this chart, but remember, we're still looking at that parallel channel here.
Mm-hmm.
MLGO halted.
It doesn't look
Wolf,
like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't see it in the scanner here. Wolf is halted. More downside there on Wolf. I'd just be careful with that one. I don't know what's going on here either, so I have a really tough time buying that one.
Here we go with DBVT. That one's looking better now, making our way up. It's over VWAP now, trying to chew through this consolidation in the pre-market. What is the market doing? Is the market trying to...
Market is still trying to bounce. S&P futures are still flirting with the VWAP right now, trying to bust above. Actually, it looks like they did. Yeah, S&P futures now above the VWAP there.
DAX had a big move just a moment ago, but it's gone now. It's stopped moving.
PRTG halt to the downside. Wow. So it tried to take out that trend line, could not close above it. Bang, rejected right back down here through the VWAP. We'll see if this gets some support at the 65 EMA on the 5. I've got that value at 1116. Halted price here, 1148.
FCX looks like it's trying to recapture 40 and hold above it.
By the way, with the sale of partial here, I'm actually tempted to maybe take a little bit and get back into this FCX with those prices now lower. Go ahead.
Surge, SURG, we traded it earlier this week. This one's having some nice movement out of the gate here, putting in some new session highs for the moment.
CEG. Easy for me to say, Born. This has been a great move around that data center thing. Looks like this did pop here. Boy, this has been tough recently. Wonder if this is, I wonder if it holds this level, Born. Look where this thing came from. Man, oh man.
That's is that all the data we have on CEG, like the IPO in 2023?
Let me go to my bigger chart here. That might just be a data pull.
Okay.
Data pull issue. You might have more in your broker here too. I've got this. Let's see. I've got this IPOing in 2022.
Okay.
I have the first print there in 2022. Let me check my broker here.
Looks like DBVT is trying to capture VWAP. Still trying.
Yep. 2/3/2022. This is what we got. Broker is the same. PRZE Braze shares trading higher following company reporting better than expected Q4 financial results and issuing full year 26 adjusted EPS guidance above estimates. It stacks up 13%. This is actually down from the highs. This is $3 higher right out of the open. I don't even know what this company does.
Cooler pulled. That went down to 168.
Go to Cooler here in a sec. Yo!
What's up?
Money Mitch.
Hey, Mitch.
Much love right back at you, Mitch. I miss you too. Keep up the good work. And let's all, hopefully the twins are good, Mitch. Sending you all types of positivity for your children. Folks, Mitch, thanks for dropping by. Miss you, man.
DATS, DATS, we've been trading this one this week. This is coming up to some consolidation from the pre-market yesterday. Could see some resistance there. That's going to start at about 386.
That's a nice move through its VWAP. By the way, those that Tesla put flow that we were looking at out of the open, that has very quickly switched to call flow here. And it is still the contract that expires today. But if you take a look at Tesla, it is reversing off of that level that it printed here lower.
So here's DAX trying to get into that consolidation area that I just mentioned, right up to 385, 386. Not able to really push into that too much yet. And there is a bit of sellers at 401. So there is that consolidation there that is trying to keep the price down for the moment. We get enough volume here that we could push through that. And what are some of these other ones from this morning doing? It looks like PRTG is still halted after that knife through the trend line we were looking at.
Yep, and I have that at 9:39. So we're actually, if it's a 5-minute halt, we're expecting that here in the next minute. Otherwise, we got 6 minutes.
WIMI now under $1. Looks like Cooler's trying to rebound, but it's still beneath VWAP. And what are some of these space plays doing right now? Rocket Lab still going down.
Wolf may have bottomed down here. It did a good job holding 3, both in the pre-market and the regular session. So that might be a level to watch down there.
Absolutely, Mitch. Oh, yes. Great mention there, producer, with the Michigan consumer sentiment. That's going to be one to watch.
And that's coming in what? In 45 minutes?
No, it's coming in about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's coming at 10 then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Getting that soon. All right. Looks like we've really seen a slowdown here.
Yeah, we sure have. Market actually pulled from that spot. I know, see Uber pulling over here. Apple's actually still strong. Chris, you had called Apple earlier here. Apple and JP Morgan having a decent morning here after being lower. Apple's still holding higher here. Not the case with some of the other tech names. Bitcoin also pulling down, and a quick check-in on the VIX, 19.23 on that VIX print.
You know, Amazon is the only one that's down significantly. All these other ones are very, they're hanging out in this red to green area. Tesla is just borderline red to green. Nvidia almost there as well. All the other ones, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, they're all a little bit further down into the red, but not that much. It's kind of mostly sideways, I would say, for the moment.
Rocket Lab rolled over. PayPal selling off here. There were some fears that tariffs might actually affect PayPal. We're talking about that this morning here. PayPal shares are trading lower after the head of the EU Parliament Trade Committee said it could change fees on the company as part of its tariff dispute with the U.S.
So they want to go after American companies because an American president, it's causing
problems.
Your
Your Sauron meme of they choosing death is about as good as it gets. That is about as good as it gets.
It just is the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, you know what? I think Ryan would love this.
And Ryan enjoys laughing quite a bit, in case you haven't figured that one out. So I'm all here for the dank memes. Let's put it that way. DBVT, by the way, rejected at its VWAP.
And the thing about PayPal is that we're going to have a death cross here pretty soon. Probably see that happen maybe next week. The 50-day SMA is just really coming down on the 200 like a kamikaze fighter. It's going to crash.
Kamikaze fighter. Let's go. By the way, ME here. Good call. This is going announcing bankruptcy, so no surprise here. Spiking plus 42%. ME. I mean, yeah. No bueno here. Actually, market also looks like it's going to roll over here and go lower. Watch this 564. Break those pre-market lows. Lower we go here on the SPY. S&P futures down here as well. That market breadth still holding here. Dow and the Russell still in the green. Your advancers to decliners have gotten worse here. Now minus 630. So more declining stocks than advancing.
And remember, with MLGO, we have this has been kind of going off all week and giving us some really good price action. So if we see a lot less of that today, don't be surprised if this thing is put a lot of work in already. I'm not saying that it's done, but if it doesn't trade as well as it has in the week, just understand that it's probably tired by now, and that whole trade is starting to lose some of its gusto.
Yeah. Whoa, Dollar Tree! A whole bunch of Dollar Tree calls just came across here.
Oh man!
I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is the 70 and the 75 strike expiring in April, and there is a ton of flow. I mean, a ton of flow. It looks like these were 250 to 300 contract lots. This was a gigantic sweep here, broken up into multiple routes. Dollar Tree. This, to me, seems bullish.
Take us over the 200.
Yeah, I was going to say Dollar Tree down 2.5% here on the lows, but man, oh man, I read that to you as soon as I saw that. Look at that.
PRTG is not unhalted yet. Interesting.
So it's, I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I think it's just probably a 10-minute. This was 9:39. So yeah, we got another minute here. Should be on halting here shortly.
Cooler back down to the pre-market lows. That's also the high from yesterday.
Race puts getting bought. I was just taking a look at Ferrari before that happened. I think this PRTG is going to open here pretty soon.
It certainly has to, before people start getting pissed.
I'm gonna leave this one up. Unless you guys have something here, I'm going to leave this one up temporarily.
Rocket Lab finding some support around 19. We'll see if that holds. Okay. Looks like Wimmy is trying to get back up to VWAP.
Tesla is bouncing ferociously. PRTG is open and moved lower, although it's trying to bounce. PRTG.
Opened underneath the 65 EMA, trying to recapture that right now. If this 65 EMA gets rejected, we're probably going to be looking at about 885. This thing goes down to, that's the pre-market low.
What did he say just happened on Dollar Tree? We saw a ton of call sweeps, multiple routes in the 70 and 75 calls that expire in April of this year. You can see these were 225 to 275 contracts per sweep. And there were a ton of them all on top of each other.
All right. So PRTG, rejection of the 65 EMA. We are headed lower. I'd be targeting the pre-market low of 885.
So RA, this is actually a pretty good, this is good. 70-75 on Dollar Tree sounds like it could be a bearish spread. So you know what? That's actually a good point. I have no indication from the unusual tool here whether or not those were bought as part of a spread, but given that they were bought together, you might be right about that.
Well, how long is that supposed to, what are the strikes on that? Like, how long is that expected to last?
That April 17th. So that's going to be your monthly contract there, 20 days till expiry on that.
Okay. Because, you know, we've had a little bit of a run here in Dollar Tree, so I could see a short-term pullback. I don't know if that's the intended play there, but I could see a short-term pullback.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know what? We can ask Anne-Marie, and she didn't even wait. She's just like, that could be a hedge on Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Anne-Marie. Appreciate you a lot.
Cooler heading even lower.
More FCX calls getting bought.
Fantastic.
Tesla, that reversal has continued to hold here, at least on the options.
Looks like
a bunch of Rumble puts bought all at once right here.
Looks like we've got a reversal happening with Rocket Lab off of 19. Let's see if it can recapture VWAP. If it does, it still has the pre-market consolidation to get through, but it would it'd be a good sign of the market trying to push this thing up higher. And
all right, 13. I'm actually going to I'm going to leave Rocket Lab up here for a sec. I got to step away for just 1 sec.
Sure, no problem. So SLNO, when we've traded, I don't think we traded it this week. Maybe we did, but that's having a pretty good morning here. Slowly made its way over VWAP and it's continuing to rip up higher. 70.81 is the current high. What else do we have here? Looks like when we also traded earlier this week, maybe even last week, VVP. No, I think it was just this week. VVPR that sank out of the open here, found some support at 370, recaptured VWAP, trying to get above some of these heavier EMAs like the 65 and the 200 on the 5-minute. With watching TMC here, I just saw another. That must have been deleted. Looks like MLGO established itself above VWAP finally. Let's see. Did it do that? I mean, we haven't closed this candle yet, so I'd like to see at least that happen. But I don't think you're wrong. It looks like this is getting a little bit stronger here. But I do want to see that this candle that we're in, this 5-minute candle, close above VWAP. That'd be more encouraging. Still have this area around 17 that looks like it was some resistance area in the pre-market. That's still going to be another area that we need to get above as well. And as you can tell from when we opened, 2 5-minute candles. So over the course of 10 minutes after we opened, trying to get above VWAP and break over that 17 level, could not do it. And then it kept the price down underneath the VWAP for a bit. MACD is also curling on this one. It looks like this is going to try for 17 again. I think the bigger level, other than the VWAP, that we want to see this get over is 17. So let's see what happens with MLGO once that happens. PRTG trying to hang in there, trying to turn around after getting a 65 EMA rejection. What else? What else, folks? Okay, so you're watching a 1 minute chart. You might be seeing a little bit of some different things than I am, but that's okay. We're kind of looking at the same stuff. I think gold will be going for blue sky later. It's possible. Oh, it just shot over 17. Did it? Oh yeah, there it is. That's what we wanted to see. Take out that level. And then we have this high print from earlier in the pre-market of was it 17, almost 1780, and then the actual pre-market high. Actual pre-market high is 1821. Those are the levels. We get through that, maybe this thing goes crazy. And OCG is going. Take a look at that. Oriental Culture holding. Okay, so with this one, when I look at the 5 minute chart, this has been, also struggling to hold above the VWAP as well. Good move, after in the first 10 or 15 minutes out of the gate here, got above VWAP and held above it. But now it seems like it's starting to lose the VWAP here. This last 5 minute candle popping up to 289 and then coming back in underneath VWAP. Not a good sign. Going to want to see this hold above 230. We lose that, then we're probably headed back down to where we started, where this consolidation in the pre-market is. That's going to be at about 207. So that would be what I'd be looking at if we lose that 230 area. Rocket Lab still pushing higher. Looking to get back above VWAP. MACD is curling. This is looking much better now. Still need to get above the 265 EMAs on the 5 minute. Cooler fighting support at 156. That's what we are hearing from Fairchild. It is, it has a low print of 153. Do need to see this stop selling off. Let's see some bottoming happen here, but that might not happen until closer to 150 or somewhere around 145 to 150.
Which stock?
Cooler. It's really selling off, kind of giving back the entire move here. So I'm thinking, well, at this stage, it's probably headed back to where it was just before reported earnings. That's going to be about give or take 2 cents, around 150.
Okay, good stuff there. What did I miss here? You guys are talking about MLGO. Did that move again?
Yes, it did. Got over 17, trying to hold above some of these levels here, trying to break over the 1780 level. We were just testing those highs, trying to get over 17, and so we can take out, so we can go test the 1821 high from the pre-market.
Yeah, it still hasn't snapped 18 either. Let's see if it does that. Bitcoin, another move lower here. This is going down to the pre-market lows, and the VIX has continued to go towards the highs here. 1945 on the VIX.
Yeah, PRTG selling off. That loss of the 65 EMA out of the halt, that was ugly. So say it one more time, that 885 low in the pre-market, that's what I'd be looking at here. We may even get some support prior to that, maybe around 920, but I'd be looking at the pre-market low. 200 EMA is also near that area as well.
Volume telling the story here, completely dying off from that opening print on PRTG.
Yeah,
AppLovin is trying to bounce. This sold all the way back off to where it just kind of started the pre-market and where it was in the after hours yesterday. Now it's trying to bounce right now. It did take out the VWAP, so maybe AppLovin higher if it gets rolling.
I don't like the way that chart looks.
Me either. I'm just trying to be positive on a Friday. That's all. That's also GME here, pretty much right at its VWAP.
I'm positive that wasn't a good looking chart.
There you go. I like. Okay. We can do that. 13.
Master asking thought on Hood. What level do you see strong support? I mean, it looks like this wants to go lower after getting a rejection of the 50-day SMA. Now trading beneath the 20-day SMA as well. So there's going to be the area where it reversed on March 10th. That could be one area of support. That's going to be about just above 36, like 36.05. I would say that's one potential area. I don't think that's going to hold up. I like the 200 SMA much better. The 200-day SMA. That's going to be about 32.59 right now. It just looks to me like that's still making its way down there. Especially after that. This is Robinhood.
Hood.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it can recapture the 20-day SMA, then you might see it come back up to test the 50-day SMA again. And if it does that, I think you could see a breakout. But these SMAs are kind of telling me what the market's thinking with this. So far, being underneath the 20-day SMA, I would say that's a little bit more bearish. If it can recapture it, then I would be looking at the 50-day SMA as resistance. But for now, being under the 20-day SMA, I like the lows that we put in earlier this month. Around 30, 35, 36, and the 200-day SMA. Those are the next support areas I like.
Market looks to be heading lower here. So we did just dip. I know we were waiting for the Michigan consumer sentiment, right? We're waiting for that print here. It looks like the market just dipped a little bit on that. Also, advances to decliners continuing to get worse here. Now minus 970. 57 versus the 57.9 expectation on that consumer sentiment number. So it was pretty much right in. It was a little soft, but not a whole lot. S&P futures trying to bounce as we speak.
Interesting. It didn't hit my newsfeed yet.
Did we get any 10 a.m. data? The market reacted to something. Yes, it reacted to the Michigan consumer sentiment print that was 57 versus the 57.9 estimate. Here is your MLGO. It's making a dash towards that 18.
All right. Taking out those levels, 1821. That's the pre-market high. Actually, just took it out. Boom. And now then it started to fall.
There you go.
Fantastic. Who was it that was I was talking with? That was
STFU is spamming it right now, so we'll go ahead and give you the register ring on that one.
He's been spamming it for a good portion of the morning here. He deserves that register ring.
Here you go.
All right, looks like DAT's still trying to go higher. Has a high on the regular session of 393.
Tesla, more puts getting bought here.
DDVT trying to move over VWAP again. Let's see if I can actually do it this time.
Here it is. Sweet one mentioning that Goldman upgraded their gold outlook. I think gold, again, we were saying earlier, I think gold probably goes to 3,500.
Yep. And that means silver's going to follow.
Yep.
Silver been doing great, actually. I mean, have you seen the 52-week low?
Here, we can chart it together here. SLV.
Oh, sure, or just the commodity itself. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't have the commodity here in Pro, but here you go.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It was the price of the commodity I was referring to because 2024 I think it was about where it was at, and that's very high for silver. Absolutely wild stuff. All
GME's trying to go higher. It's trying to put in a bullish formation there and maybe move higher. MLGO ripping 19. I'm going to give you guys another register ring for MLGO. That's been really the only good mover here today.
2074 is the high from yesterday. Just be very, very careful with this one. This has hurt a lot of people in the past.
PRTG back into single digits.
I got a fun little story about silver regarding my nephew. He just had a birthday, and the kid the kid's unusual in the sense that he's very much aware of how money works and is aware of wealth. So one of the
That
things
is a really good thing to have at a young age.
It is. So one of the things I did is because he's got his own little safe. I bought him an ounce of silver, and he's really excited about that. So he's starting his investment early.
I love it. And I'll tell you something else. When it comes to metals, I know we talk a lot about some of these tickers and all that stuff, and it's fine. But when it comes to metals, I'm a firm believer. The way you invest in metals, buy the metal and throw it in a safe. Buy the physical gold or the physical silver or the physical platinum or whatever metal it is and throw it in a safe. So shout out to you, 13. Good stuff. Get them while they're young, right?
Oh, yeah. Sent me my brother sent me a little video of him thanking me. He's happy about it. It was great.
Did you get him like a nice ingot?
Mm-hmm. A little bar. Yep.
Oh, that's money. He's going to show that to his friends.
He better not.
Oh, he's going to. You just better not let them get to it. TMC, by the way, this pushing here.
That's awesome, AAK Walker. That's awesome. That's great.
1 ounce silver coins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I will say I do like hearing that kids that are interested in finance, money, business, any of that stuff, because for a while, these last several years here, young kids just wanted to talk about YouTubers and influencers and Instagram. And it's like, none of that is going to be beneficial down the road. So love hearing this stuff about interest in finance, business, metals. Love it.
Yep, Line Atlas got the right idea as well, and trying to. Also, MLGO, that's still printing slightly new highs, although it is showing some signs of topping out.
SPY here looks really weak. It's not like plunging; it's kind of drifting lower. But man, it feels weak here. Advanced to decliners has stopped going down, at least temporarily. Looks like it peaked there at minus 990. Wow.
It's, kind of sinking like the Titanic. Slow, big, and it takes a lot of time. PRTG still going lower. What's up?
I'm laughing at Wiss's comment here. My nephew makes figures with his 3D printer and sells them to other students in his class. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. I used to sell little Mac video games back in the day. It was totally illegal, but I mean, I used to do it.
Lion, are you laughing now? I think he had the right idea. Rocket Lab heading to the Mariana Trench. Sure, it's coming back in, but it'll be back. This thing has a great story. It's like I said, the whole contract with the Space Force is really going to be dependent upon their neutron rocket. So if we start getting some headlines about that launching or when that launches, or anything that has to do with the neutron rocket, the stock should see some movement off that.
More lows coming here as the market just pulled there across the board. SPY, Qs, Dow, the whole thing pulled there. Meta's also pulling here. Meta, we are going to that 200, folks.
Give it to us. And
we're going to the 200.
Kumo X, WPM, wheat and precious metals. Love that stock. That has been absolutely fire.
Great ad down here in a 50 handle on WPM. We talked about this when this came into the 200. Maybe it was on happy hour and not here, but we talked about this one.
I was talking about this one back when it was under 35 in 22.
Yeah, I just mean this year. Like this was earlier this year. We started January here with this right at the 200. Market continuing to pull, by the way.
Excellent. Neville, great pickup. I really do like Rocket Lab. There may be some concerns about its valuation, but with the way that they're going, I firmly believe they're going to grow into the valuation and be probably even exceeded at some point. Just a really, really great alternative to SpaceX and United Launch Alliance, and they're getting tons of work. So great stuff. Wow, look at this move! Woo!
In the SPY, yeah, everything pulling here,
and the SQQQ.
Oh, you know what? I wasn't on that.
Yeah,
I wasn't on that today, and I should have been. Damn it, 13.
Oh man, the move that we just got. Look at that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's wonder. I'm part of me is wondering on the TQQQ here. See, we're over $1 from the VWAP now. Maybe we get a bounce coming here soon. Boy, everything pulling now. Every chart looks the same. Bitcoin, new lows.
Really, everything, huh?
Everything. VIX now 1982. We're going to get a 20 print here on the VIX, folks. Lulu pants ripped. Well, if it's their fault, they'll replace them for you.
That's what happens when you don't stretch.
Oh man, Lululemon new lows here.
Yeah, that. Oh man, I'll show you this SPY chart later. But that trend line that I drew, we are destroying it.
Yeah, real quickly here. Anne Marie saying huge flush. Anne Marie, I'm looking at the advancers to decliners here, and it's not breaking the low. I wonder if you take anything away from that. It's early though. I guess it could still do that here in the next few minutes. Market's still pulling here. 562.30 on the SPY. Let me actually go back to my SPY daily chart here. Take a look at where we're at with some of these levels.
MLGO 1950 was the high, and then it knifed.
So we got about 10 more points until we're actually at that 10% pullback level.
This is exactly what I wanted to see.
Same.
Exactly.
As I've been talking all week about how I thought we were going to roll over here. I was actually discussing with Anne Marie last night that I think we're going to retest that level, and here we are. We're getting it here today.
And I cannot. Anne Marie, your comment just now is beautiful. The technicals, especially the whole evening star pattern that I've been talking about all week. This is just such a great resolution of that pattern. You have the big gap up on Monday. You have the evening star doji on Tuesday. You have the resulting bear candle, and then the complete flush the following days. This is just absolutely textbook. I love it. But so Anne Marie was saying, it's an inventory correction. You're seeing huge inventory issues. Ryan, which one we've most
Nike.
notably? Yes, most notably Nike.
It's insane. And the other thing about Nike, remember the last time we talked about this for new levels, we said 60 to 63. We're at 64 right here. Mm-hmm. Market's still pulling. Actually, just gave up 562 here.
So what does that mean for markets when you have an inventory correction? That means you're going to see prices tank. You're going to see a lot of discounting. You're going to see,
and as far as
margins.
Nike goes, we're actually already seeing that. We're seeing steep discounts that are not that are above normal discounts on Nike.
Lulu will do the same thing. So this is where some of these cheaper companies could start to come into play. Cheaper is in they're like these outlet stores, or they sell cheaper products. That's why DG was doing so well, and Dollar Tree.
DG not immune today.
No, but it's been on a run.
Yeah,
it's been on a run. So this is just for me, it's just another cooling off period. What we want to do with DG is we want to hold above 85. That's what I would like to see.
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, you have stars like Ross and TJ Maxx. Those are down as well. Ross, actually, that death cross. So this was looking like maybe it goes lower.
ROST?
ROST, yeah.
Yeah, Ross stores, yeah.
And then there's TJX. The TJX companies, that's down as well. Getting support from its 200-day SMA, though. So we'll see if that holds up. Projected at the 50, held up by that 200. Might go sideways, but it is looking weak. I'll admit that. So let's just see what it does. It's because it's in a sideways pattern right now. All right. Well, I could put my feet up for the rest of the day and just watch this market.
Me too. Pete saying the tariffs are working, and then rolling eyes. Actually, I know you're being sarcastic, but they are. We've been wanting this market to really sell off, reduce some of the froth, get us down to tradable levels. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening here. More. MOAR. More. 520. I want to see 521. I want to see a 15% pullback on the SPY.
Be careful. I almost typed that in to search it up and see what it was. Is it running, Ryan?
What's that?
Is more running?
No, it's not a ticker.
MOAR. Yeah, it's not coming up for me, Ryan. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, internet speak.
561 next level for SPY. That's going to be support. Probably won't hold it. Beneath that, I have 559. 10% correction level is not going to be down until 551.91. But I'm really looking for us to lose the 550 handle.
Big B's giving it to us here too. 560 major support. If it loses that today, could be a rough afternoon. 559.44 is the exact level that he's looking at. Like I said, bring it on in. And Tom, looks like it's time to start your weekend early. Indeed. And if you go all the way back to the opener of this show, that was my question. If you've ever started your weekend early on a Friday, that might be one of those days here today.
I do like the 555 level area as well. And, when we were on our way down, we did get some support a couple of days at that 555 level. So I'm kind of looking beyond that. I still think we even after getting support from 555, we'll end up losing it. Now, as far as next week goes, I'm sure we'll close down around here. We're not going to come back up to 565. At this stage, I just don't see it happening. But next week, we could see a rebound from the selling. It has been a pretty good drop. So there could be a rebound for a day or two before we continue lower. That's just how these markets act sometimes. When we get a significant drop down, we'll get some buyers stepping in and trying to pull it back up. I would expect to see some of that sometime next week, just a little bit of a short-term rebound before we head lower. And we also have the April 2nd tariff, Liberty Day, right?
Liberation Day.
Liberation Day.
That I still loll at that. Producer here, spot on here. Not a rough afternoon if you're banking with Matt Money Maley on SQQQ calls. By the way, just as a reiteration, if anyone is interested in that, throw a link here. There is a 7-day trial attached to that link. So if you want to trade with Matt, if you're worried, Matt might be the one to help you. We'll keep bringing him on and asking him about it.
Yep. Check out that trial and start printing daily with Matt Maley.
I love it.
That might work for you, Dennis.
Matt Maley might be one of the best things that we've come up with in some time.
That and mark to market
for Mark Petrino's segment.
Yeah. Yep. Plays on words are fun.
I like it.
Wow.
I like it.
SQQQ. What a ripper is today. What a ripper.
That's still hitting lows here. 561 into the 560 handle here on SPY. NASDAQ also at the lows here.
Be sure to ask Matt how he's doing on Monday. Just be sure to ask him. I'm sure he's going to say just fine.
Yeah, I was going to say I ask him every Monday.
I know. But I'm just
fact.
I'm just joking a little bit. Yeah, we get 2 April Fool's Days next week. Yeah, because that's a good point, Mike. I mean, that April 2nd. I mean, he's been adamant. He's been adamant about that's going to be the day. We're going to do all these things. Okay,
we'll see.
Maybe he will.
We shall see.
Well, looks like we have PRTG trying to turn around. Got as low as 950. It looks like. Yep, 950 was the low. So about 35 cents from the, about 85 cents from the level I was looking at.
Oh man, let's get Meta to test its 200-day. That would be something. MSTR testing the trend line that was supposed to offer some support that we trade after we traded above it. We'll see if it continues to do that here.
Yeah, that's going to be, we still need the whole day to play out, and we could see it come back up a little bit.
Mike, what's going on? Good morning.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning, Mike.
MLGO might be turning around from its selling. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we are getting some support. MLGO, yeah, we're getting some support from the 65 EMA. It's got the task of having to recapture the VWAP, which it's coming up to right now. Just tested it. So if we get it back above that and maybe even close this candle above it, that would be a pretty good sign. But just be careful because we still could get a bear flag out of this. We don't want that. Just be careful. Let's get some confirmation on this this movement.
Bitcoin at the lows, Apple huge reversal, pounding the lows, Amazon at the lows, Netflix at the lows.
Yeah, you know, Mike, I kind of feel that way too. This might be a good time to start, taking those short trades off the screen here.
SPXS above 7.
So Pretty Panda, you know, even Netflix, because I know Netflix has been a really strong one, and a lot of people have said that they'll never cancel their Netflix subscription
Or downgrade to the ad version.
Yeah, and I'm starting to wonder, maybe, because of the way that the Netflix is starting to look bearish to me, might start to see that roll over as well. Typical sell-off Friday. Well,
let the overreactions happen.
I don't
let them happen.
I don't think Friday typically sells off, but when you have, when you're going into a weekend that could, have some huge headlines and market, moving headlines over the weekend, I could see a lot of investors taking risk off the table going into the weekend. Okay, so not all of them, but some. Did he really? Trump pardoned Trevor Milton?
Yeah, I was wondering earlier here if that was because Milton said a whole bunch of stupid stuff, but it looks like White House official confirmed that.
So, what is he going to get a cabinet job now?
No, not going to get a cabinet job. It's more on the lines of the lawfare going on. I don't understand it because the dude defrauded a whole bunch of people, but he says he's going to have a documentary. Milton, says he's going to have a documentary on his whole case. So I'm not even going to waste my time with that, to be honest with you.
I might just fast forward to the part where he rolls the truck down the hill. I want to see his explanation for that.
That's actually in our story that we had about this here this morning. Here, I'm just going to read you the blurb here. Including falsely claiming that Nikola's semi-truck was fully operational when in reality promotional videos had staged the vehicle rolling downhill. I can't believe that was real.
Yeah, they're with you, Clarence Johnson. Don't keep anything over the weekend. Not this weekend particularly.
Yeah, no.
Jane Smith, while some might think this correction is a good thing, I'm not feeling it. Trump could drive the markets down even further. We're kind of looking for that.
Yeah.
This market's been very frothy for a very long time. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a 14 to 19% correction, but if you're insinuating that we could go into bear territory, we can examine that as well. I'm not necessarily thinking that we will, but things can change, and you could end up being right about that. So, but we do need this move down in the market so that we can continue to go higher. We needed this really badly.
Yeah, well said. I mean, this was overdue by a long time. Jane, I love you, but I'll take the other side of that.
For now, I'm taking the other side of it for now. If we start going down 20% or more, then I would be concerned.
I want the market down so that my buying power is increased. I want to be able to add some of these quality companies when they're much cheaper than they are. Give us a reset. That is the best pot. And the other thing is, I know we're talking about traders, those of us that are active, but the other thing is that if you're still paying into a 401k, this is the best possible thing. You want that. You want to be able to buy more of that stock when the price is lower. I know it feels bad in the moment, long term. And I try to share stats about that all the time. Ryan Dietrich is a wealth of knowledge with those stats.
looks like we are starting to get some support here in the SPY. But
So those of you worried about your 401k, don't cash it out at the bottom.
it's a 301k.
Oh, and that was the other thing. So Sweet One saying long-term fixed income seems not bad today. How's everyone's Tim Melvin stocks doing? Green, flat, red, flat. Not even down 0.5% on some of those.
Yeah, I mean, we've had IRAs and 401ks that were down in 2019 that were doing much better later. We're gonna see your 401k go up and down over time.
Yeah,
it's just gonna go up a lot more than it is gonna go down.
That's right.
I'm not gonna sweat these down days.
Me either. And so those of you that have been around for a long time and have seen stuff like this before, what happened? What happened when it went down?
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea, Daniel, because it does seem like the movers kind of have dried up. So maybe directional ETFs might be the way to go with some of these names, like the Tesla long and short ETFs, or TQQ, SPY QQ, or SQQQ,
SPXS,
SPX, yeah, all those.
SPXL if you play the reversal.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of things to trade, but my day's pretty much going to be done after I jump off here, because it's been a good morning. Market's done exactly what we wanted to do, probably even more than what I wanted it to do, which is fine. This has just been a great result for what we've been looking for all week. Great result.
Can't wait to check my phone at the close and see where everything's at.
Where are you expecting it to be?
What's that?
Where are you expecting it to be?
In a perfect world, we're going to be right at a level, but I wouldn't be shocked at how many times have we seen in the morning, things are selling off, everyone's wringing their hands. Oh my God, the world's going to end. And then it's not ended in the afternoon. We'll see.
Yep.
Bernard,
well done. 50% cash. He's ready. I bet you have your shopping list primed too.
Yep. That's what we've been talking about. That's what I like to see. That's someone that's got their head glued on straight. Voodoo. Yep. Thank you, Voodoo. I've been doing this since 1997. Down markets are not a bad thing. But please keep telling me how the world's over. Please.
Yes. Since 1997.
Please keep doing it.
So he's endured the dot-com bubble. He's endured the great financial crisis. He's endured the pandemic. He's seen it all in the past, 30, 40 years? I'll take that. Go home market, you're drunk. Well, it's probably stumbling on its way there. Let's see.
5:59 now. 5:59. Aliens are coming. Let me ask you, if aliens did show up, what would be the first thing that you asked them? Or would you just run away?
I wouldn't run away. The first question I'd ask them, I don't know what the first question I'd ask them.
I mean, I know what the first thing that I would ask them is, how'd you get here? Explain to me how you got here from start to finish.
I would have,
but I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd.
I would have a real battle with myself, struggling to come up with if I would either want to ask them a very well thought out, intelligent question, or just completely ask a sarcastic, smart ass troll of a question and see how they take it. I'd be having a struggle with doing either one.
Crankbait says, "Where are you from?" Bingo.
How about why here?
Do they have room in their international zoo?
I'd ask them why did you come to this planet? Did you not shop around first? No.
Did you not shop around? Anne Marie, I love it. They've already been here.
Yeah, just underground. To the from an intergalactic zoo. Because we have some animals.
CCG trader, can you please take me with you? I love this. This is actually a good little exercise there.
They said yes, but you're not going to like it. When Lambo. Look at this market just absolutely pull. This is fantastic.
Jane. So Jane saying, Ryan, check out the SETI Institute if you're into space. Jane, several computers ago, I had my computer running 24/7 doing calculations for SETI. For a number of years, I did that. I absolutely love that stuff.
Yeah.
DS, sorry, bringing up a good point here. You will not understand because they are at another level. Yeah, I've looked into that. I'm hoping that there's some type of telepathic mind meld where we can get around the language barrier.
Zoltan's on board to ask for me to ask the troll question. There was another one that I saw here. Yes, I'll introduce them to day trading. Just show them
reintroduce them to day trading.
Just show them the internet. They'll decide pretty quick if they want to stick around or not.
Jay Smith says, welcome, but stay away from California and Chicago.
Sorry to all our Illinois and California folks out there.
Hey, I'm in Illinois.
Sorry,
I can't even disagree with them.
Sorry,
on that.
man.
It's all good.
It's about all we can do right now is just laugh at the market falling.
Wait it out. Been waiting for it for a while. Wait it out. Hood lower here too. Tesla lower. So those put buyers ended up winning here today, at least so far. Tesla had a lot of options trade on it.
And Marie, we're almost there. We just have to get Neuralink set up, and then we can do the telepathy thing as well.
Gary, I like this question, Gary. Do you have bourbon where you come from?
Oh, yeah. Try this. Give them some moonshine. See how they handle that.
Rocket Lab. Looks like that launch is grounded.
Yeah, sometimes they don't get off the ground.
PRTG. Interestingly enough, back to single digits here, right down to the pre-market support.
Yeah. That was, I said earlier, this could go back to where it started. Same thing with Cooler. That's fine. They will be back.
Bitcoin holding here 84,600 on the futures on Bitcoin. And the VIX popped right above 20, holding there at 2055. SPY S&P futures trying to bounce here, down 1.27%. We'll see if this marks the intraday bottom or not. Actually, what I'm going to do real quick, let me check in on TQQQ while we're at it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be around, so I don't want to babysit this, but this is actually not a bad spot. $1.60 from the VWAP. Oh, I built up a good screenshot library today.
It's going to be fun. Look at MLGO trying to get back over VWAP. MLGO might provide a trade. Just be careful with this one. We've already seen how this one could knife earlier. Don't want that happening again.
You've also seen how this thing can pop. This thing can pop and knife.
I just got to be careful with it. If you're, know what you're trading, know what the risk is.
Yeah, no question. Hey, let me ask you, 13. So with AMD getting pounded here along with the rest of the market, do you think that what's a good level for AMD for a potential trade higher on the thesis that maybe they close the gap with NVIDIA on their graphics card division for gamers or for personal computers?
Well,
have you looked into that? Have you come up with a buy list level for AMD?
Close the gap in terms of they're on par with NVIDIA's graphics cards?
Well, I specifically did not choose on par because I don't necessarily think it needs to get all the way back to even for it to actually make for a decent trade. We've covered a lot here, the NVIDIA botched launch of the 50 series graphics card. And I'm just wondering here, if some of these tech stocks, AMD in particular, get sunk with the rest of the market, is there a point where you say, you know what, I'm going to take a stab at this thesis here via AMD because AMD is just frankly cheap now? Or is this something that you're staying away from entirely?
No, I own AMD. I like it for a longer term. But the thing is that the revenue segment for graphics cards for both AMD and NVIDIA, it's not their largest segment. My whole thing about following the graphics cards is if NVIDIA is doing what they've done with their graphics cards launch in terms of quality control and you know, availability, if they're going to and pricing, if they're going to do all that with their graphics cards, how much of that leaks over into their AI chip business? And I think that's where their big weakness is, because if AMD can execute on that, as well as a number of other chip manufacturers, then NVIDIA could continue to weaken. And if it starts to get realized that the value of NVIDIA's chips are overblown because they're pretty much the leader in the space, they can price them out however they want. Until you get like somebody that comes along and has something that's comparable or even better at a lower price, then NVIDIA is going to be able to kind of extort their clients with high prices until that happens. I'm just following that whole graphics card ordeal, because I feel like that type of quality control and that type of business practice could end up leaking into the AI chip segment, and that would be very bad for NVIDIA. There's also rumors that NVIDIA might be using Intel's fabrication centers to build new chips. There's a lot of different chip news that's still coming out and happening. I think this is going to be an opportunity for these semi chip names.
Buffalo by Bicycle says 100 might be a level. Vladi Divac, my man, gaming consoles are using AMD, but they are far apart of NVIDIA for everything else.
The Switch is using NVIDIA.
Is it the one that's coming out? Is it this year that it's supposed to come out? Okay.
Yeah, the Switch 2 is using NVIDIA, system on a chip.
Oh, one more thing here. I should have mentioned this earlier. It's my own fault here. Let's see if I can grab this here real quick. Let's go ahead and do this. So I know a lot of folks are looking for fingers to point and people to blame. Let me offer you something.
Well, this is part that I don't disagree with.
This was yesterday. So just kind of going along with the theme here of knee-jerk reactions right after big calls here. Our friend Markets and Mayhem here. Well, folks, it's been nice knowing y'all. You can't make this up. Literally yesterday, after hours, this is what we got from Mr. Kramer. So today's sell-off, we're going to pin it on him. I'm saying, just in case you folks can't tell, I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek.
It's so funny how everybody takes the opposite side of what he says.
It is. It's become a meme. It's become a meme, and it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
I'm still kind of wondering why CNBC continues to have him on.
Contracts, probably.
Okay.
The legal department.
Yeah, my contract says I can spout out this BS for a little bit longer. We are coming up to or down to, I should say, the March 21st low in the SPY. That low was 558.03. I think somebody was just mentioning that. Yeah, Buzz Lightyear, SPY in the 558 zone. We're in that handle area now. The low 558.03 from last Friday, we're coming up to. He deserves a credit for pulling the market down. Okay, we'll give it to him.
It's more a trading indicator than a meme. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. That's that's a good comment there.
I wonder when charts are going to start adding the Jim Cramer moving average or some kind of like indicator that we can.
That might be something. That might be something to code up. Use Chat GPT, help you code that indicator up, plop it on your chart, wham bam boom.
Yeah, like a level just automatically gets drawn on your charts whenever he mentions a particular level for SPY that he's saying buy or sell.
That would be something else.
I'm a little bit bummed that the Kramer ETF didn't last, Here we go with DBVT. That's showing a nice move over VWAP. Let's see if it can get above the price action from earlier and the pre-market consolidation.
Now it needs to hold above the VWAP because we've had a couple
Yep.
of teases here with DBVT. We want it.
Yep.
So Mark talks a lot about like trigger, like having a setup and a trigger and waiting for confirmation, being a little bit more conservative. Waiting for this to really kind of hold above that VWAP might be your trigger on this one.
It looks like the market's trying to recover some lost ground here.
Yeah, Mike mentioning here that the Kramer ETFs were discontinued. Was that like a legal issue? Was that what happened there? Why did those get discontinued?
Yeah, I don't know the reason why.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm literally asking out of ignorance. I don't know the answer. He has a restaurant? What kind of food is there? What was the Nancy Pelosi ETF? Insider, I think.
Really?
No.
Because as
DBVT.
Perfect.
It's going.
Here we go. Took a little bit longer, but we got what we wanted. Let's see. Currently running into the highs from, 685 is the high from about 720 earlier this morning. That's about where we've run into. Seeing some other consolidation in that area from when we opened the pre-market. Pulling now. If this closes above VWAP, there still may be some more left in here, but don't want to see these large wicks appearing at the top here. It's like we're getting a turnaround here on some of these other stocks from earlier. Looks like FCX trying to put a bottom in. Nice reversal candle there, a nice hammer on the 5-minute. Rocket Lab also trying to turn around here and recover some of these lower time frame EMAs, almost to VWAP, which I have at 1928.
Interesting. Producer, thank you for researching this for me. Tuttle said he feels like regarding the Kramer ETFs, he feels like the mission was accomplished, quote, but retail investors are more focused on volatile products. Boy, doesn't that explain a lot? And interest in the portfolio didn't fully materialize. A lot of the success or failure of an ETF is timing, and the timing with what has happened with the Mag 7 just didn't work out. Tuttle told that directly to Benzinga. Good stuff there, producer. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
CoreWeave. Someone was asking about the time for CoreWeave. I'm seeing here on first of all, the times they sometimes they try. They very rarely hit the actual time that they're talking about. On CNBC though, CoreWeave is awaiting the first trade. They're talking to a maker. It looks like the company folk are behind them. Priced at $40 a share. The indication is $45. Remember, they actually shrunk the offering size of this IPO. So we'll see on CoreWeave. Looks like we are going to get an open pretty soon, or at least it looks like that from watching CNBC. I can't hear them though, so I don't know for sure.
I'm sorry, did you say this was IPOing
today?
Today?
CoreWeave, CRWV. This is the big IPO of the day.
You think you're seeing some rotation out of a lot of these names to get ready to pick this up?
No, I don't, because here. So a couple of things. Let me pull up the stuff here, and I'll give it to you, and I'll tell you why. And I also had a buddy that knows somebody kind of connected to this, and I'll share that information with you as well. Okay. Here's the story that we have for anyone that's interested here on CoreWeave. CoreWeave priced its initial public offering at $40 per share, below the expected range of 47 to 55. So even with this opening pop here, that's actually still below the expected range. The offering consists of 37.5 million shares, with CoreWeave selling 36.59 million and existing stockholders offloading 1 million. The company granted underwriters a 30-day option to purchase an additional 5.63 million. But here, let me grab this here real quick.
TQQQ starting to do come back up. Looked like it was bottoming.
So I asked one of my trader buddies who knows somebody that is, I don't want to say connected because they don't work for the company or anything like that, but they've kind of been following this here. And I'm just gonna give you some of these stats here. Microsoft did not exercise an option to buy 12 billion more data center capacity from CoreWeave. I think it's just a little while ago on that spike down on Cores. This is ticker CORZ, which we actually saw move around. This is Core Scientific. This was a while ago. I think this was a week ago, a couple weeks ago. My buddy was in a CoreWeave meeting, and he said investors were not happy. He didn't say a word. He just watched and took notes. So I am not excited for this one. One of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because there were a couple of these IPOs that I was getting excited for last year. We talked about them. 13 Databricks was one of those, and I'm still waiting for that one. What was the Cerebras, the other AI name? Cerebras.
Yeah, Cerebras. Yep.
And so I still am interested in those. I still want to see how those do, but this one, no, I'm just not.
The Cerebras one in particular was getting held up for national security reasons. So it's going through a separate review for the time being. So I don't know how long that's going to last. I haven't paid attention to what's going on with that one ever since that news dropped. So I was like, okay, well, this could be a while. Let's look at some other stuff. Speaking of other stuff, what are we all looking at? Seems like we're just kind of waiting for things to.
Market seems, at least temporarily, has seemed to stop selling. I'll tell you what I'm looking at, 13. I'm looking at the sun coming out here. I'm looking at the timing of this rainstorm and the sun being awesome.
You starting to stretch? Get that golf swing ready to go?
Can't start stretching. Can't start stretching yet. Vladi Divac says, I think 60% of their business is Microsoft regarding CoreWeave. Funny you should mention that. It's funny that you should mention that. Check this out. Per the story that I just gave you, folks, Vladi Divac, by the way, this guy's a G. Why it matters. Microsoft accounted for 62% of CoreWeave's revenue in 2024, raising concerns about revenue concentration. However, CoreWeave anticipates that Microsoft's share of future committed contract revenue will decline to below 50%. So you tell me if that moves the needle, Vladi Divac. Let me know. You were spot on with that, by the way. SPY here, up off the lows. So far. Let's see if we roll over here today and freak people out again. Michael wants to take a look at Broadcom. Let's do that. Here you go. Here's your Broadcom move lower. Now we did break that volume point of control. Okay, great. We're actually at bottom end of the volume shelf here. For Broadcom, I think I like 159 next. Just looking at some of these levels here. This one goes back 159, maybe 142 after that, 145 maybe. And then obviously 500-day down here, 133.86.
This is, I mean, if this gets down to like 160, it's probably going to be considered oversold. It's getting pretty close to that oversold level already. So we could see a rebound in this coming, probably maybe next week. I'll just say maybe. But if we continue to go lower, 160s would be a level. I think 140 seems likely as well.
Ryan's Midwest accent hit hard just now. Is it the Chicago accent? I don't even realize it. What words does it come out on? And you're welcome, Michael. Anytime.
Maybe it comes out on the A's. When you hit that vowel.
Okay. I think accents are actually kind of amusing and cool, frankly. I'm sure I have one. I just don't know how to realize it in myself. Like I can point it out in other folks, but I can't realize it in myself. So
yeah, you hear it every day, so you just don't. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, looks like the market wants to drop a little bit more.
I was going to say that bounce there held on for about 10 minutes. We might be retesting some of those lows here.
That's fine. That's fine.
We actually remember, I know we've been talking about some of these potential levels here for the broader market, mostly the SPY. It's also worth noting, we had a gentleman in Happy Hour, another 40-plus year veteran, saying he's looking for 480. name that the Andy pullback level here, 480. How many people you think people are freaking out now? And oh my God, the world's ending now. Imagine if we got anywhere near 480, what folks would be thinking.
Oh man, I would be thinking, what the hell am I going to buy? Because I would have so many options at that point. Not contracts, but just like, different opportunities. Like there would be so many things that would be just so attractively priced. I don't know where I would start.
You better make sure you have cash to do that.
Oh yeah.
By the way, SNSE getting mentioned here. Webcoin, I know you're on the penny stocks, might be the only things that are kind of working here today. SPXS at the highs, by the way. I think I'd like to probably get, maybe 750 if we can get up there on that. Remember, 666 was the entry. WFF was an IPO question mark? Yes. We actually covered that in the morning yesterday from the brand new morning report, by the way, powered by Benzinga Pro here. So we're going to keep updating you, Market Sniper, on all of the upcoming IPOs. Yesterday, the only one that we had was WFF. Today, obviously, we talked a little bit about CoreWeave. But here you go. Day after WFF popping on volume. This was a Chinese IPO, if I'm not mistaken. Malaysia.
They just had an earthquake there, I believe.
Yeah, you see videos of that? I saw that this morning, man. The videos. But by the way, Chris, are you still out there? Big of Bees, you still out there? Aren't you over? Oh no, he's back inside now.
I thought he was in the Philippines. Wasn't he?
Yeah, maybe I'm mixing that up. I actually think he's back stateside now. Nonetheless, the videos from this morning, there were videos, I believe, of Thailand, and they have these big buildings that have like these pools on top. And the building's rocking back and forth, and the water from the pool is sloshing out and falling. I'm like, oh my God, like that is just too much for me. The epicenter was Myanmar, but it hit Thailand too. Thank you, producer.
Gotcha. Thank you. Looks like some of these names that we were trading earlier are starting to turn around here.
PRTG.
Yep. PRTG really does look like it's starting to turn around. Let's see if it can recapture that 65 EMA and then the VWAP after that. We still have that trend line intact that we were trying to trade over and got slapped back down. So that's going to be back in play as well. We just need to get above the 65 EMA and the VWAP first.
Gotcha, Big of Bees. I actually remembered that just as I was saying that. Glad. Really happy to hear that. Big of Bees. Yep, it was a nice earthquake. That's someone that's seen a few of them in his life, it seems.
7.7s. Yeah, that's... I can't say that I've been involved in too many of those, but being
really? You live in California.
7.7s?
Yeah, I guess those are huge.
Yeah, I had my fair share of earthquakes. It got to a point where I had to stop and make sure that it was either an earthquake or it was just a truck running past our building. Sometimes it would shake the building a little bit because they were the big rigs. But yeah, those are those like the smaller ones, like the 4.0s, the 5.0s. We would get those quite frequently.
Anne-Marie hitting some extreme levels in the advance to decline lines. By the way, Anne-Marie's coming up here in 9 minutes. Anne-Marie, I think I'm probably going to ask for your opinion on everything that's going on here. There's a lot of freaking out, a lot of hand wringing, a lot of people on both sides. I'm going to ask you for your opinion here. That number, -1388. So remember, that advanced declining number has been dropping all day. It is at the lows here. Anne-Marie using this as an opportunity to cover up some of those shorts.
Yeah, STFU. I wish they would have listened to Confucius. Back when they were when he was building pools on high rises, he knew how to get it done. I'm just playing along.
I know.
Yeah, I think when it comes to earthquakes in California, you're going to get the big ones, in the LA, the inland area, and San Francisco in particular, because the San Andreas fault line goes right through San Francisco, and then it comes out to more of the eastern side of the state before the mountainous ridge, and then you get the fault line coming to about within 50 miles away from Los Angeles. So you do feel it a lot in those areas. Hey, thanks, Kevin. You have a great weekend. All
Yeah,
right.
take care of yourself, Kev. Appreciate all your support. Appreciate all of your participation. Make sure you enjoy your weekend.
Oh, so Big of Bees, you were experiencing the Earth just clearing its throat before that big shake that we just had. It was just getting ready.
The prelude.
Yeah, he was saying.
Krakatoa did that most famously, where it gave you a huge initial shock, and then everyone thought everything was over, and then the real show started. Changed that part of the world for a long time.
Well, what is it you're interested in picking up when we have this sell-off conclude? What's going to be one of the first things you're?
You want to know my top stock? I got you.
Sure.
Pan W. Here's your Pan W chart. Give me the 500-day moving average here on Pan W. I had a story. I don't know if you were here or if it was one of the early stories yesterday. Downtown Josh Brown saying there was an article yesterday about him saying cybersecurity is going to be a theme going through 2025. I was like, oh, give it to me, Josh. This is what I've been saying for months. And Pan W here, we've already just kind of lost the 200. If we get any type of big sell-off that really kind of drags some of these stocks down, I'm going to be looking for a long on Pan W. No question. This is my top pick for that. I think you could probably also throw something in here on Broadcom, AVGO, especially if we can get down to the 500. How about you? What do you got?
I mean, there's a number of things that I'm interested
Yeah,
in.
I mean, I'm not going to list 30 for you.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't really. I was just asking because I was kind of curious. I hadn't really thought about ones that I'm looking for to start with, but because I've been nibbling already. But let's see here. I could just take a look and tell you what I might want to take a stab at here. I mean, I probably would just start adding to some of the plays I've already been picking up. Like I'd probably add to more UPS and Pepsi.
I don't know if you caught it, but I asked Mark about UPS here today. He said that this might be a pretty decent spot to actually try it here.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give recommendations, but we just took a look at the chart and analyzed the chart.
Yeah.
Vladi Divac saying JPM.
They have pulled back a bit, haven't they? Let me see here. JPM looks like. Well, I guess we had a better opportunity when it was down around its 200-day SMA. It does look like we could get another opportunity soon if it loses the 20. JP Morgan not having as nearly as bad of a day as some of these other stocks are. I do like JP Morgan. I actually own it. Yeah, I think it would just depend on how far, where it comes down to. If this ends up trading beneath the 200-day SMA, then I'd be looking for levels under that to add to. Also, I'd really be interested in a lot of those semiconductor names. Not NVIDIA, maybe I'll probably get a little bit of NVIDIA, but I'd be more interested in the other names. Broadcom, maybe even Marvell.
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Possibly even Intel.
Remember you had mentioned NVIDIA in there. We had talked about next levels here for NVIDIA, 100, 99, 98, somewhere in there makes a lot of sense on NVIDIA. Sweet One is mentioning T over and over and over again. Are you adding this if things come in?
The T has to come in for me to want to.
Yeah.
I don't own AT&T or Verizon anymore.
Yeah.
This has just been on. I mean, AT&T and Verizon, and I was talking a lot about this in half year. They've been on a massive run. I was waiting for this run to happen. It was especially with AT&T. This has been trading down in a descending wedge since 2019. So there was as soon as we started breaking out of this, I was like, okay, this is gonna have a really good time moving back up, and it's done really, really well. I don't want to necessarily own it up here. I prefer to get it closer to 20 if we get that kind of a pullback again. Great dividend and everything. Same thing with Verizon, but the dividend yield just isn't as attractive up here as it was when it was down in the teens. Big B's mentioning the education stocks. I'd have to look at a watch list. I think I have a watch list of education stocks if I do have anything. Yeah, here we go.
And Mo watching DBVT for a break of 642 here. That's going to be right here. Top of these previous candles. This did take out the VWAP here and held the 65 EMA.
Yeah, Craig Miller, I think that's a good spot for Google as well. I've got levels marked off for that as there.
Google 150, I like that.
You know, Big D's, I don't have a real robust education watch list. So if there's something we discussed earlier, it might have been somebody else that had the watch the names for education. Because I have like Chegg and EDU. And they're down. So.
Let me see if we did one. I can't remember if we did one of those. We're gonna be going to Anne-Marie here in a sec, but let me just check this real quick. You said it was education, right? That was the.
Yeah, you might have a better list than I do.
Nope. No education watch list. You know what? We might have to make that 13 when we get an opportunity.
Yep.
Okay, let's see, what time is it here? You want closing words, closing up shop here?
Hey, well, folks, we won at the end of the week a nice big old sell-off. Hopefully, nobody got hurt and everybody's ready to start trading some positions to the long side as soon as we finish this sell-off. Folks, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Anne-Marie. Have a good time. Stay safe out there. I'll see you next week. We'll have a good time. See you then.
Right
Bye.
back at you, 13. You make sure you enjoy your weekend with you and your fam. We'll catch up with you on Monday, my man. Have a good one, and thanks for everything, as usual. 13's departure, of course, leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's check in with her and see how she's doing today. Anne-Marie, good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to you. I want to show you what I was seeing in a couple of different things. It might be that the bottom is not quite in for the day. It could be that we sell off a fair bit more, but for here on this screen right here, this has been what the NASDAQ has done all day in terms of advancers to decliners. And so this number at negative 2360 is pretty low. So let's take a look at the wider picture and see.
That chart that you just had there, that advancers to decliners chart looked, I know that was for the NASDAQ. That looked exactly like the advancers to decliners for the Nice, New York Stock Exchange, except obviously it had more, just more negative issues there by like 1,000.
So check it out. The last time we had anything below this 2,000 level, we usually have a bounce. Now, the 10th of March was pretty rough, right? And the very next day lost the low and then turned right around and moved right back up. But this negative 2,300 to positive 2,300, those are like extreme zones. So I expect the NASDAQ to make a bottom here in the near term, unless we don't.
Well said. I expect it to bottom unless we don't do that.
Yes. I know the market's so hard sometimes. So here is what's going on in the advancers to decliners for the NYSE. Again, levels that the charts start to turn around are here between 1,500, negative 1,500 and negative 1,600. We have seen them as steep as negative 2,000. So don't just rush out and start buying. There's nothing there that tells us we have the opportunity to just turn right around. Here's what's going on from a big picture perspective. I want to pull out the SPY for the week. We do have a very interesting price pattern This is the range that I think we're in, right? And so this was the top box, the breakout box, and this is the box that we sat in from the breakaway in May all the way to the breakout in September that retested. So we're sitting down in this zone. My thought is that we test the 50% range, which was 550. We did that 2 weeks ago. So now what the traders have to close above, buyers have to close above 580, 558. Another reason I'm thinking that the bottom is going to try to be in here, because if they don't, we've got another 10 points to the south, in my mind. And so that looks like a potential retest. We're breaking down. We still have a -5. We're under, what is this, a 50? And then here's our 20. So, I mean, this chart is in a bit of a free fall. So expectations of a flush. We don't normally sell off on a Friday, but it might be because of the position that we might see the charts in on September the 2nd or whatever. We have
April 2nd?
Sorry, April 2nd.
I just want to make
Thank
sure.
you
Yeah.
so much. Yes. Two things of interest. The end of the quarter is coming, and there is an argument that since it's Friday, that a lot of portfolio balancing might be done today, and then the rest of it might be done on Monday.
Which is the 31st.
Exactly. So far, the volume on the week, take a look at these weekly volume candles. Huge volume downside, huge volume downside, huge volume downside. Not so bad volume downside. This is a weekly candlestick. We're almost to the end of the day. Unless something absolutely stupendous happens, we have a downside week under low volume. Again, it tells us they're going to be dip buyers underneath. The question is, can we wait? Now, today, if I were a degenerate zero DTE trader, which I have been in times past, I'm not going to lie. So
we all have been there at one point, Anne Marie.
So what we could do is take a look at the cheapest way to maybe buy an upside press. And let me go back to my charts for a quick sec, right? If this bounces here at 558, it should bounce into the at least the open of last week's candlestick, and that is 562, right? 562.24 is that number. And so if we think to ourselves, okay, let's say if you're being crazy and you go, hey, I want to buy my 558s right here with all of that volatility attached to it, you can, I wouldn't buy 558. Maybe I'd try 559. You could buy the 559, 552 spread. It costs 90 cents. So your break even would really be 555, well, 86 now, if you decided you wanted to do that. And then once it got to 562, which is the open of the prior place, you just get out and get flat, right? What you kind of want to do is get yourself about a 40% return, unless, you know, it shoots the moon and makes it all the way past 362. And then just right after it does that, you just cover it. So that being said, if you wanted to play the bounce for next week, which I would say be careful doing something like this. You'd want to widen your test up. We know 565 is an important number, right? So it gives you $6, and it costs 235. But no, I wouldn't do a quarterly. Sorry, wrong one. You could do the quarterly. The volume is sometimes a little wonky, but if you did that, you could position like that. To me, that's pure raw gambling, pure speculation. And if you had a great week and you said, hey, I think I'll risk $86 on a bounce that looks like it might be coming, go for it. But my thought is we're going to have a reflexive bounce. It's going to sell off again.
Yeah, me too.
Right. And so at the end of the day, the question might be, all right, is there a cheap way to position from a big picture if these charts fade under this failure to hold above the 50? Let's say it's not going to congest. Let's say it just collapses, but it takes 4 weeks. What could you do? Well, getting to 540 seems like a natural test, right? So let's look at a put butterfly and see how cheaply we can get it if we look into April, right? Let's see where look at that. Didn't one of your guys just say they're looking for 450 or something?
480.
480. Okay. Somebody's at 440. That's bananas. Okay.
And 440 by April. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so, Tim.
Let's hope not, because we will have people screaming in the streets.
We've already got some people that are angry. I think a 440 move in the next 20 days would really tip the scales.
Yeah. So here's 540, 530, 520, 67 cents, right? Now, what that is a very cheap hedge. Here's what I would say. I expect the market to bounce from here. I do. I expect the market to bounce from here. If it doesn't, this trade will leave me in the dust. But if it does, I'm going to take this position and, I'm going to see how it goes for the month.
Okay.
So that's my thought.
And I like having some protection on.
Yeah.
In case we do. I know we're all kind of waiting for a long setup here, but in the meantime,
absolutely.
might as well reduce your risk, have some exposure. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. In the meantime, let's make some cash. So that being said, I thought we could, I know you were very keen on UPS when Mark was in here. I know you're thinking about that. Do you want to look at UPS? What are your thoughts about what you want to stare down today?
Here's the thing. First of all, we covered UPS with Mark. If you want to set up an options trade to maybe kind of play that, that's fine. But I'm not married to that. I would actually, my first recommendation here would be to go to the chat. So chat, if there's anything that you folks want to see, let's see. I don't think anyone brought anything up yet for this, but if you want to throw some out there, Anne-Marie, if you've got one you want to start with, maybe we'll do that while we let some of these responses trickle in.
All right. So my thought is, let's go to the space. My thought is that if we're looking for things that are going to be green, I want to look at materials like some kind of metal, right?
Okay.
Or somebody that pulls metal out of the ground or things like that. You can see that we're very risk off this morning. Healthcare, literally the only green besides staples and utilities. But here's what this tells us. This tells us that everyone is not selling. They're rotating. rotating into other places of the market where they feel safety might occur.
Mhm.
And so if you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, what's happening? Whenever you come to a chart and you see green in parts of it and red in other parts, it just means they're moving from one space to the next. So no knickers in a twist required. Everything's going to be just fine. All right. So that being said, I would like to look at one of the stronger copper mines. Now, the question,
Rio
these
Tinto.
guys, yeah, so we've got, here's the thing, right? This is an ADR, and who knows the next time we get some sort of whatever off of, commentary from the commander in chief, we might end up having a space where we go, uh-oh, this is going to fade. But Rio Tinto, one, they have the largest copper reserves on the planet, bar none. They are the strongest in the space. The next thing is they're at the bottom of this range, right? We just had an earnings release. Let's see what that earnings is. 219. We just had it. And what did they have? And it has a dividend. I like that. So let's take a couple of thoughts about what might happen here. And then we'll use two strategies. We're going to think about something Tim might suggest. Which
Were you
is
interested in those earnings numbers? Did you want to know what those were? Because that dividend yields 7%. That's not shabby.
I know, right? Yeah. So I think it's fantastic. Plus, the chains are a little bit juicy. You know what I mean?
So, Anne-Marie, so this last earnings report that you just highlighted there in February, this was a massive beat. This was the estimated EPS was 335. They put up a 669 number. And the revenue estimate was 27.37 billion. They put up 53.6.
Yeah,
They
that's
absolutely destroyed that earnings report to the upside.
Yeah, so the question might be why the fade right after the earnings? And my thought is general uncertainty, and they're just getting thrown out with the bathwater, right? They're the little baby, right? So I am so sorry.
No, this is a Friday. This is what it's for. We're here to be spicy.
So I think I really like this company. So easy trade is the covered call. And you can do it by getting yourself, let's see what the high end is here, right? If we just look at the top of congestion, we'll have maybe 66. So that's 10% higher, right? And if we sell the 65s, you might have to put it in the queue. Nobody's buying it there yet, but it gives you $4.30. It's got a really nice premium. And if you have to let it go at 65, you'll make the $4 plus another $3.60 for a total of $7.90 in the space. And that's well over 10%. So that's a very nice trade. And you can also roll it if you so desire. But I do like this. Here's another trade. Again, you probably have to, there's a little bit more open interest here. So maybe in January, you buy the 50 and let's say it stays sideways because we can't tell what's going on, right? So you buy the 50, you sell 2 of the 60s, and then you buy the 70.
Okay.
Its number right now, if everything expired today, be worth $10, right? Maximum profit would be if it sits at 60 for the next 9 months and it just dances around the area. And if it continues to go well, we'll revisit this one and say, all right, let's see what else we can do here in this chart to potentially roll some of these spreads. Okay, so that's 2 ways to play this particular trade. I see a bunch of tickers coming in. We have an FCX trade already.
Mhm.
Already in progress. We talked about that.
The new tickers that we got suggested here was DLTR and RH. Amanda also suggests that we do a new app butterfly because our last one got obliterated and now there's more stuff going on with app.
Yeah.
So I would actually put that at the end of the list. I would say DLTR and RH are the 2 that the chat is looking at.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So we looked at this on the show earlier today, and Dollar Tree had a big bounce and then a fade, right? Isn't that what was happening there? It had a bounce and then it had a fade.
Yeah, I mean, it actually. So are you talking about today, or are you just talking about recently?
Recently. Oh yeah, bounce and a fade
today,
and a bounce and a
yeah. So because today it traded up out of the open and then came back in, but this is after it on earnings it was volatile and then went higher and now is coming back in.
Okay,
so you can see right there on your chart. There you go.
This is a range, right? This chart is landlocked to me. So 64 is the base, 76 is the breach, and then 85 would be resistance. So you have to think about how you feel on this particular position. If you say to yourself, listen, this is going to lift. They changed some things are going to go better. This one's going to lift. Then you take a look at something outside and say, you know what, I'm going to trade the 80 to, it could go to 100. So you could go 80 to 90 to 100,
yeah.
Right? So if you're looking at that and you go, all right, maybe that happens by May. Maybe we start recovering, maybe, right? So we would go 80 to 90 to 100. It's $129, $1,000 of upside. In my mind, I would say this thing's pretty landlocked. And so if I were looking at that, I would sell the 80, 85s. No, I can't do that on this same space. Maybe I'll try it the week before. Let's see what the chains, if the chains give us any traction. Try it the week before. Oh my word. Chill out, Amory. The spread, they have to open first before you can start clicking on it. Okay, so a little thin here, but whoa, can't do it. We'll have to go forward in time. If we have that call butterfly there, we might go to June and say, okay, I'm going to choose 85, 90, and then, oops. $60, $55. Okay, that gives me a lot of that spread, right? That's almost 40% of that spread we can collect in an iron condor. It essentially pays for the 80 to 90 break to, if we decide, hey, listen, that's going to go up to 90 or whatever. And so if the May one is right, you've paid for part of it with the June one. If the May one is really right and it runs right up to 90 and doesn't do anything and holds on and you get to collect the whole amount, even if that spread expires in the money, you're only down 320. So you're still up. So it's a way to pay for the butterfly while using it that way. For me, this looks great, but here's what I suspect. If when we feel a drop like this into earnings and price action really starts beating us up, the first thing we want to do when we touch a downward 50 or we get back to an old area we should have held, it's going to sell off. So the better trade to position bullish would be the rejection here and the pullback to 76 that holds, right? And it could be that, a lot of these stores use Chinese goods on their shelves, so that it might be a little bit of a problem. So that's what I would say about Dollar Tree. Okay, what was the next one?
Next one here was RH Restoration Hardware.
Oh,
and I'm actually not sure on the option chain on this one, so this might be a grenade I'm tossing you, and I'm sorry in advance if that's the case.
If it's from you, I'll just grab it.
Well, jeez.
Here, my favorite. I cry in movies all the time, right? My favorite scene is in Captain America, and it tells me why he's my favorite superhero, is that the live grenade, the general lobs it into the group, and he just jumps on it and throws his whole body on it. And I think to myself, that's a real hero. So. Yeah. Do you like anti-heroes?
No, I very much like heroes. I've never seen Captain America. I'll be honest with you. These superhero movies, they make you. I have been tired of them for.
I know, forever. I know. I haven't watched them in a long time. Yeah, I haven't watched them in a long time. But
I think all of Hollywood, but that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, here. I'm with you. So, my husband's favorite superhero / villain is Batman, but you can never go wrong with Batman. And I'll say this: The Dark Knight, Christian, that is probably my favorite Batman of all time ever.
With all due respect to Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, that original Batman was great, but man, Dark Knight is something.
Yeah, else. Extraordinary. Okay, so Restoration Hardware. Look at the size of this channel. Wow. Earnings on the horizon.
Right around the corner, frankly.
Yeah. The break, it seems to be holding 200. Okay. So this might be expensive. What's the range for the earnings event? Range for the earnings events. So we're looking at about $60. Oh, they're good. Here comes the pop. Let's see if it runs. I gotta move some stops here. Sorry. Okay. So what's volatility? Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, friends. Here's the thing. This chart does not like to lose 175. We know that the upper edge of the market, demographically, spends a ton of their money at Restoration Hardware. Mm-hmm. So I definitely would sell the call spread. Got a ton of premium sitting in there. What's the last high? So it's held 95 since 2022. What did it do during COVID?
Dip and rip.
Yeah.
Because everyone wanted to upgrade their home because they weren't ever going to leave their home.
Yep. So Yeah.
in reality happened, actually.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm sorry. It's a
No,
spicy
no,
Friday,
you-
Anne-Marie. I'm sorry.
no, every time I talk to you, I'm like, wow, Ryan's a lot more like me than I thought he was.
I'll take that. I'll take that all day long.
Okay, so it might pull a ripper and we might get 260, but probably not more, right? Because that's really significant congestion. So let's see what the premium's giving us. If we have, oh my gosh, this implied volatility is delicious. I am so doped up, you have no idea.
That I did not have any idea.
My allergies are the worst. Okay, so here is a spread for an iron condor. It's only 5 wide, right? But we're getting more than half the premium. So the thing about a spread that gets 5 wide, we have to be very right. If we're not exactly right, things can leave us out in the dust. So it might be, if you can afford it, to take the 265 to 75 and maybe the 190, 180, right? It doesn't give us quite as much, right? If we multiply that one by 2, we get $5.10. But this one only gives us 450, but its probability of sitting inside the box, because there's so much range, gives us an easier time moving through the edges. I think the 5 spread is nice. If you're looking for a ripper here, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know in terms of what might happen next.
Okay. Well, good stuff, Anne-Marie. That went fast. And I hope your allergies clear up.
Yeah.
I hope your allergies clear up.
Talk to me in September.
Okay.
But then there'll be new
Jeez.
allergies on the horizon.
Hopefully we can talk to you before that. But really good stuff here this week, Anne-Marie. Do me a favor, enjoy your weekend, and
you too enjoy time on the course
and enjoy the baseball because it's back.
Oh yes, I know. We trounced Toronto yesterday. You can't wait for.
You got to be careful.
Game.
We got some people from Toronto in here. I'm going to get you out of here before the things start flying. Anne-Marie, have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. That is Anne-Marie. I told you folks, when you signed on here that we were going to have a spicy day. I told you that we were going to have fun, and we did not disappoint. So appreciate all of you here. Now, Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Sandy. Let's bring her on. Sandy, how are you in a spicy mood? You're muted. So we know that the spice is real because you're muted. Still muted. Something on your end with the microphone. There we go. Spicy Friday, just like I've been saying.
I don't know if you call that spicy. That might be like lame, right? Like,
well, I wasn't going to call you lame.
Sandy needs to, well, I'm calling myself. Sandy needs more sleep, apparently. Sorry about that, guys.
All good. What do you got coming up for us?
We're going to be looking at some of the switching of the sectors, looking at UNH, J&J, and KO.
All right. That sounds awesome. Options trading made simple with maybe a slightly tired Sandy. We'll see. It starts right now.
Thanks.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fits-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Benzinga. So as we take a look at the charts, and we're just taking a look at the basically the market breadth, right? Really nice to be able to just look at this snapshot and say, what do we have in store for us? And you can actually see this changing throughout the day. So you could see all the major hitters, all the mega stocks, they're down. And look at Lilly and Mark. Look at healthcare right here. Really looking nice, right? A lot better than anything else. What else we got? Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. Look at the utility sector right here, guys. All green on the utility sector. I don't want to put my cursor there because it'll just block it. But you could see the utilities on the right, all green. So this is very interesting to note that we do have money moving into different sectors. And these are defensive sectors, right? This is where money gets moved to when there's like, okay, wait a minute here. What's going on? So let's get over to the charts. We'll do an overview and then we'll maybe do some automations today. So as we take a look at SPY on a daily chart, look at how momentum is just now crossing, right? That zero line. When we cross that zero line, momentum is weak. And so this is actually a really nice time frame to see this actually just breaking below. Because as you can see, how long can we go underneath that, right? We could go for quite a while. Now, this was a pretty big downturn. We'll see if we get that. But as I look at my chart right here, the first thing I see is, we may come down and test, right? This March 13th low right here. And that would be a double bottom. And the next decision will be, well, do we bounce or do we break the bottom and make a lower low, right? So as I take a look at this, you can see that let's talk about confluence. I typically like to look at momentum. We crested above the zero line last Friday. However, we came and touched the 20 EMA, which is my favorite, like reversion to the mean. You could have your VWAP or, several EMAs, whatever you gravitate to that helps you to visually see price action is great. Everyone is different. It's very subjective in that way. But as I look at the 20 EMA for reversion to the mean, so we broke down, kind of did a hop up, we went sideways, then we did another hop up, going right into that 20 for the reversion, right? And then you could see how it toyed with it, which is typically a fake out zone. All these, areas of support and resistance, they act as fake out zones. And so when you think of it like that, what it does is it just helps you prepare your expectation that, wait a minute, we may get a pause here and not necessarily just a clean breakthrough. And as it broke through the 20, on March 25th, you could see that we came right into the pivot low. I mean, it was just perfect, right? It's amazing that these levels work. And we came right back down. So for the last 3 days, we have been down and now we're cresting below that zero line. So this actually looks good, right? To come and retest March 13's low. And what is that? 549.68. So that's what I would be looking at. You could see the market makers actually identify what the weekly expected move is going to be, right? So that's what all these brackets are for, is the weekly expected move. And you could see that each and every week they were expecting during this period of time right here, they were expecting the market to go down further, right? You could see the stepping stone down. And then all of a sudden, you could see the market makers are showing us that there could be some consolidation, right? That our zones, instead of going up, was actually more sideways. That can help you identify if you're not good at forecasting or chart analysis or all of this. You can actually take a look at that weekly expected move and visually see, looks like we might be going sideways here again, right? So that's what we did right here right here. And now look what the expected move is for next week. So depending on where we close today, we can then identify what our expected move is. So for right now, it looks like on the upside is around 569 and on the downside around 548. Meaning if the downside is at 547, let's just say, remember it's a zone, 548. So you can actually see, and then the low here on the 13th was 549. We could break through a little bit, right? test that zone, right? See where momentum's going to be at for next week. So real interesting to note. And really how this works is the higher probability is that when we close today, we use that closing price. That price will then be this white line right here. And then that will actually identify if on Monday we open above that white line, we're just opening above point of control, because that white line is point of control for next week's move. That's how I look at this indicator. By the way, I offered this indicator via email. We had a couple takers last week, so I'm really glad. If you like this, this to me is just really easy versus going to your trade tab as an example. I need to get that lined up. Going to your trade tab and then looking at your weekly expected move over here, right? That would be 14 points, and then drawing the lines on your chart. This just makes it easy, and it also accounts for volatility. And so that's actually quite nice. So it does the calculation for you. Now, if you're interested in this indicator, just email me, Sandra at tradingmadesimple.org. Happy to get that over to you. Now, so if we on Monday then break above that point of control for the weekly expected move next week, probabilities is that we're going to be going higher, right? And if we break below it, probabilities are that we're going to be going lower towards our weekly expected move on the downside. Does that mean it has to happen? Absolutely not. Look at this week right here, just for training. Look at this week. We broke above it, didn't go anywhere, broke below it, didn't go anywhere. Boom, 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 right? And then that next Monday, we just hopped up, we opened up there. You couldn't do anything with your automations, by the way, right? When we have a big gap like that, all your automations just go down. One of the great questions about automations this week because of that big gap is what do? I really wanted my automations, something to happen. I'm on the edge of my seat for my automations to happen. And I just laugh at this because I just think to myself, the whole purpose of automation is so that you don't have to have all those emotions involved in your trading, so that you could just set them on the weekend and forget them all week, right? So that you don't have any real, emotional stake. You have your defined risk for each one of those trades. If they trigger, they trigger. If they don't, no worries. I'll be back next Sunday to do the same thing. And as you develop this system, then you can see, wow, I can actually go enjoy my life. I can actually participate in the market, and it's not as stressful as maybe it used to be. So with that in mind, we are looking at SPY. Big down day today, right? Wow. So let's take a look at the Qs. The Qs, we got also breaking below the zero line. All these are going to mirror each other, right? And what did we do? This is interesting. So on the Qs, not only did we hit our expected move for the week, but we also hit our expected move for the downside. So not only on the upside did we hit that on Tuesday, but now on Friday, we're hitting the downside. So that is volatility in action. And today we're above that 20 mark. Whenever VIX is above 20, stand by for these types of moves, right? All right. So then outside of QQQ, you got IWM. Let's take a look. IWM down $3.64. You could see also IWM hitting its upper expected move this week. And now we're heading towards that lower end. And that lower end is around 199.29 thereabouts. So we could get there today. What is, let's take a look at DIA. Big down day today. Wow. All right, we're actually, this is interesting. So we broke through this vertical trend line right here. We bounced, we hit it, we came down, we broke above it, fake out zone, came down, and now we're actually right at our lower pivot. I do like pivot points. And so as we're at our lower pivot, we'll have to see today if this actually holds as support or if we break below it at the end of the day. Now, this little zone area, I would have to say is around the 418.50 mark. That's what I'm going to be looking at. Right now, we're already below it. But if we can stay above that pivot low, we could take a bounce next week on DIA. Now, Some of the high flyers, let's take a look at some of those that we typically, right? So Meta too on a daily, looking really weak here. Actually, wow, $17, guys, today. Big move on the downside. It hit its upper expected move this week, but did not hit its lower. We still have several hours of the market to go. Could this get to 575? Yikes, I don't think so. But it definitely is going lower here. And you could see that that little area is going to be it's a consolidation zone right here that's matching up perfectly. You talk about confluence, matching up perfectly with the a weekly expected move right there. They just line up right together. So that little area is around, 575, I would say. So could we, gosh, that would be a huge move for Meta. Let's go to NVIDIA. NVIDIA looking, looks like, it broke below its weekly expected move. And this will be interesting to see. Typically speaking, when we break below our weekly expected move, higher probabilities that the next week we just go lower. So when you think of it like that, you're like, wow, this could be a good short for next week. So let's just make that note so I can remember to come back to it for an automation. And then let's take a look at Apple. So on Apple, you got, let's see, this popped down, consolidation, popped back up with consolidation, not bad. We're actually looking at that 219.13 as an area of our last pivot low. This could take a bounce here. Let's take a look at that. Ooh, interesting. On a daily, Apple has momentum above the zero line. So not only did this consolidation on the higher end look interesting, but momentum is above the zero line as well. Apple kind of holding its own here, guys. Could take a little bounce. And you can see that next week's expected move is 225.14. We've already taken a couple trades where, the whole market is looking terrible. And then there's just a couple stocks that look stronger than the others. And, I have to say, just based on my experience, those technically don't last. They'll have relative strength for a period of time, but not long enough where you could really profit from it. So I think I'm going to skip Apple on this one, but it is looking much stronger than the other ones that we've noticed. I'm hoping that you can see that. And if you have any questions, let me know. Let's see here. And then outside Apple, let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon just breaking the zero line right here. Coming down. I don't think we'll reach it today, but you can see that we're basically, on the road, it looks like, to basically hit this level again and to test it, to test that support level. Now, remember, every time we come here, it's like, hey, is this going to hold? At some point, it may break through, and then that's going to look awful for Amazon. Let's take a look at Google. Google, in a rush, we're in the negative 200. So if you have an oscillator that's showing you momentum, and why should you? Well, momentum drives price. So if momentum drives price, you should have an oscillator on your chart that's showing you momentum, okay? Because it actually happens before price. So when you can see that, then it can help you kind of identify, will there be a bounce here or maybe not? So let's look at this. And I want to show you these areas of confluence. So not only is price right at March 18th's low, which was 156.72, we are there right now, guys, there right now. What could we do here? Well, this either becomes, we're at a double bottom right now. So what happens at a double bottom? Well, either it bounces or it breaks through. So right now we're at the 200 level. And why is this important to me? Because typically speaking, when we're at a negative 200, we're oversold. So are we oversold on Google? Look at Google's consolidation for the last 3 weeks. Google looks interesting, but its momentum is really low right now. So if Google takes a bounce, it's probably going to do a reversion to the mean trade right up to the 20 or thereabouts, that zone area, which is around the 167. I'm going to just mark that real quick. And let's take a look at some of those stocks that we saw on Market Watch. Let's take a look at some utilities, or we can just, let's take a look at XLU, the whole sector. That's more like energy though, isn't it? XLU. Let's take a look at, well, let's take a look at that. All right, so yeah, this is utilities. So we can take a look at price action here, and you can actually see this is an ETF, and yet this looks pretty decent, doesn't it? We have momentum not really breaking the 100 level. So really kind of choppy and sideways. And now it's on a day chart, it's breaking up above the zero line. This is interesting. Now price is right at the 20. So we're right at the reversion to the mean. However, we had a higher low. This could actually maybe mean, and look at this trend line right here, really kind of matching not only next week's high, but also this band, which is basically identifying a level of consolidation for a chart, for a time frame. So this looks interesting to me on XLU. Okay, just give that a little mark. We got a couple interesting ones. Now let's take a look at UNH, because we can see that how bright green it is, right, on the market watch right here. UNH, look at Merck. We'll take a look at Merck too. J&J. Let's take a look at a couple of these names. These definitely are sector, right? Sector rotation. So J&J. J&J looking really good, not only a run up, but even when it pulled back, it wasn't very strong. And you can see on a day chart, even though momentum was weak on a day chart, you could see that J&J really just consolidated. This actually looks like a really strong chart, and it just broke through the zero line. That actually looks good. This is J&J. And let's take a look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, kind of similar, right? Even though the momentum, that's how you can actually kind of tell, how the move is going to be, is when you take a look and see, like, on its weakest point previously, on its weakest point, where did price go in comparison to where momentum went? So even though momentum went down, price actually held its own, right? So this is real interesting to see. This, as we take kind of a look at all the different charts, I'm hoping that you can see the different patterns. Sometimes it'll take you some time if you're into, price analysis and charting analysis, is to identify these things. But I think once you can see it, it starts to make more sense, and you won't be second guessing yourself so much. You're going to win some and you're going to lose some, and that's just the trading game. But as long as you have a strategy in place where you have a risk defined trades, I think you're going to be okay, as well as risk management, right? 1 to 3% of your portfolio value in a ticker. So looking at Merck, I don't really like this chart very much. But as I see, it broke out of a downtrending channel here. It went sideways, but broke down to come test it again. And so now you can see that the weekly expected move, right, kind of holding its own right at this vertical trend line. We do have momentum that's coming up above the 100 line, which shows that it's kind of recovering, So I think Merck will get a recovery here if the rest of the sector does, but I don't like it as much as I do J&J. J&J just looks like a really strong chart. Looks like it's, ready to go meet its previous high. We had a high here on March 4th. We had a high here on March 10th. So we did a double top. We came down, not with very much force, even though momentum was weak. We stayed true to the 20, vacillating. Could we have another vacillating week? Absolutely. Because what is the weekly expected move telling us? We could have another sideways week, but a little bit higher, inching up a little bit higher, closer to that pivot high. because it looks like it wants to come challenge that again, right? And if it challenges it, it could break through or it could come back down. But this is looking really strong. So I do kind of like this. Let's see here. So next week's expected move is at 167, 164, $3. Let's take a look at the trade tab. I'm going to get this fixed here. There we go. And if we take a look at 7 days out, we have a 167.5, 167.15. That's not bad. Let's see here. You could see that right now these contracts are going for about $46 for a call. You could take a call, you could take a debit spread, knowing that we might go sideways a little bit more. I don't know. You know what? I think I may go for this long call. Now, should we automate this to hit a certain area? I don't think so. I actually like this. My automation would be if we got down to 162.81, then that would be something to take, just cut it. So as you can see, we actually touched on an hourly, which is a pretty important area. We touched a double high from a couple days ago, and we came back down. So it is holding as resistance. So on an hourly chart, 164.05, we can make this really tight, guys. And I think I will. So let's see here. 164.05 is my stop. So I'm kind of saying, hey, I think this might break through. So if it breaks through on an hourly, right, you can really feel the strength to go for into next week. Now, because it's Friday, we don't know what's going to happen today. We don't know what's going to happen with the news over the weekend. Let's take a look at automating this trade. So if I was to go to J&J, and I'm going to pick the 167.5, and the reason I did is because that's technically my target price, right? And I'm going to say, hey, buy custom with an OCO bracket. And when I come up here, right now, of course, the contracts are going to be $51. Now, I'm not going to do an automation to get in this trade. I already know I want in. But what I want to do is set my stop. I want a real tight stop. So because of that, I'm just going to come down here to my sold limit, and I'm just going to click in the boxes, mark. This is going to be at or below because we're going for a call. And we have that area at 164.05. And you know what? I'll just give it to the 164. I'll give it that extra 5 cents. If it breaks below that, I'm out of this trade. I don't want to stay into it. I am going to do a good till cancel, but it's not letting me. I must have too much energy going on. We do want this as a limit, but we always want this as a 0-0 because we're going to be aggressive buyers and buy the ask and sell the bid. However, until you actually click that little tiny button to get this trigger, you won't be able to. So now I'm going to say bid, make sure again, this is 0-0, tab out. And let's see if it'll let me. It won't let me, but that's okay because I can do it on the front side. All right, so we have a tight stop, trigger, and we're going to say good till cancel. All right, so we have our stop in place, like, really, let's see here. So if we have a tight stop on here, I'm going to do a limit order on this, and I'm going to say, okay, what was my take profit? 167.5, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here now for my take profit, and I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to say at or above. Now, if you get lost here, all you got to do is look down here, greater or equal to, and we're going to say 167, and it was 167.5, but I'm going to go for the 167. Let's do 25. I'm going to get out just before. Okay. 167.25. And then we can say good to cancel. It's not letting me hit that little tiny button. Everything is about tiny buttons on Thinkorswim, guys. I hope you recognize that. I'm going to do a 0-0 here, and I'm going to sell the bid. Okay. So we buy the ask, sell the bid on your automations. We're just being aggressive buyers and sellers, but we're not paying market. Okay. This is not letting me do it, but I can do it on the front side. And you can see what your programming actually states, right? And you can also see where it says price of the security is greater or equal to, and that's our take profit. So now we basically have a limit order. We stuck it as a limit order and not a stop. And that's okay because we're doing it from the stock price. We could do it that way, or we could actually put a stop in. So I'm going to leave it as is, good till cancel. I want to make sure this is good till cancel. We're going to give ourselves some contracts here and let this go. So make sure we have 3. We have our take profit, our stop loss. Let's see what this actually says when we confirm. So if we just open this up a little bit, you can see it says, hey, get me in right now. I'm buying the ask. So we didn't do any adjustments. Sell me when I get to my close price, because I see a really narrow zone right there at 164. So that only gives it about 24 cents. We'll see if it makes it. And then also get me out if it hits 167.25. We have good till cancel, so this will go good for all week. I'm in the trade, and so are you. And it looks like we got our automation in. We'll see how it goes for next week. Hope you guys have a great weekend.